The sun is beaming down. What a gorgeous, gorgeous day. I'm totally enjoying it. Welcome, everybody. I have some really cool channeled notes today. Lots of channeled information for Ascension. And we're going to be offering a little, kind of in my morning workouts, I have a lot of channeled information that comes to me because it's when I'm relaxed and I'm just kind of doing my workouts. I'm not really in that's just when I'm receiving a lot of information. And part of my workouts is shooting hoops. I love to shoot hoops. It's just how I get connection without a lot of intense forethought. And that's, I guess, when a lot of the channeling occurs, is just when you're open, just in the flow of moving your body. And so I had this really cool channel for divine masculines, and for those that want to assist in divine masculine healing, and a little bit of interpretation. The teams have been giving me for the last little while a really cool analogy for those with the heart to hear and for those with the heart to understand that wanted to take part in perceiving and opening your mind to various aspects of healing through liturgies and stories that we can kind of take symbolisms and understand who we are in different ways. This has to do with divine masculine healing, as well as the divine masculine energies for women as well. And it came through when I was doing my workout this morning, and the last couple of mornings I've been channeling these downloads about different types of understanding that we can start to interpret. So I'm going to offer it today. And it is through the analogy of when I was working out, getting the quantum elegance of what shooting hoops is about in the game of basketball. And for those that are divine masculines that enjoy sports, seeing your ascension process through a lot of the things that you enjoy, and it could be through sports, honoring your body, exercising your body. And with those with the hearts to hear, this analogy has been coming up a lot lately, and I'm going to build on it because it is a download. And that download for divine masculines and for all divine feminines to understand the divine masculine's perspective of things. What they've been giving me is how to train your dragon for the divine masculine energies. And we'll go into it, and it's a very complex and deep download because they've been downloading it to me for a little while. And part of it is understanding of the primordial energy, the reptilian energy that each and every one of us have within our DNA. And the dragons and many of the mythical creatures, way back when our consciousness was high enough, they did have a great aspect of the consciousness on our planet. And they've left our planet just because of the separation and the duality of the planet, and it went really dark into its separation experiment. But the dragon energies have been coming back a lot this year. When I went to Japan, there was a lot of dragon energies there. Dragon symbolisms are very big in Asia. So there's a lot of mythical Asian histories about dragons. And they believe in the dragons with them every day in Japan. And the white dragon was very prominent when I went there. So it was really cool to learn about their mythologies and their stories about dragons. And dragons go back to the earliest of our stories. So it's really a cool symbolism for men that are going through ascension, men that will be tapping into higher levels of consciousness of who they are. And they've been giving me this analogy for a little while, and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to grow on it, and it's going to expand as we expand. And the topic is how to train your dragon, and how to train your dragon for those with the heart to hear and for those with the minds to kind of expand within who they are as divine feminine, divine masculine energies. Understanding the sojourns that every human soul goes on in its evolutionary process. Understanding that reptilian energies, reptilian coding is within every single human. And we do come with it because we are here to assist the reptilians, that is our ancestors as well, through the Orion, which I've got some channeled notes today from the Star Council on that, as well as Ashtar from the Ashtar Command. Many of all of our histories throughout the cosmos, throughout the multiverse, does include reptilian energies and reptilian histories. And it is part of our DNA makeup. Hi, sweetheart. Hello, sweetheart. We're going to be talking about a really deep and expansive topic that the teams have been downloading to me about how to heal a lot of the divine masculine energies on our planet and understanding the depths and the profundity of the reptilian energy. And the liturgy that they've been giving to me for many, many weeks now is how to train your dragon, because I'm going to be a part of assisting divine masculine collectives heal part of their primordial energies, how and when it got started to suppress the natural soul's journey and the natural soul's evolution of the suppression of who they are as divine feminine and divine masculine energies. Every soul, every human, as we said, comes with reptilian coding. Everybody does. And we're here to heal it on behalf of the entire galaxy. And I have a channeled message from the Orions as well as from the Star Councils. The Star Council I've been dealing with for a very long time, but we went into a bit of the histories about the Orion Wars and how we're healing parts of that in a mirrored experience here on planet Earth. So thank you. I love this too. This is brand new. I used to shop at a store. I used to work at a store as a stylist. So this was one of the blouses that I would absolutely love styling. Anybody that is in the anybody that's in the that is in the chat group, I give everybody permission to create sacred space to just put those energies on hold, or refer them back to YouTube. Anybody that is being disregarding and disrespectful. So this is our sacred space for learning and for expanding. And so this idea of, and you can take this and get your own downloads, because many of you that have been on my channel and many of you that have been students for a while, you can download some of these energies. It is what they've been showing me as a collective energy and a story for those that choose to go deeper into honoring and understanding how to heal divine masculine energies on the planet. It's very important that we understand divine masculine energies on the planet for healing and how the state of our planet is the way it is. Various leaders, why they behave in the way that they do, and how to assist in the healing of the divine masculine energies through our own evolution and our own stories that we're being offered for evolution. And so how to train your dragon is a theme, is a liturgy about the reptilian energies and the codes that each and every one of us are as humans coded with. Every single human is coded with reptilian energy because it is a part of our foundational makeup. As I've said in many of my my offerings before, is that part of my role in the systems of light is to help with species that have gone extinct, that have gone into kind of a red flag area for their species because of how they've behaved, and they've continued their culture in separative experiences from consciousness, from source consciousness, like the Greys, the Orions and the Reptilians. And the Reptilians for a very long time now have been reintroducing themselves back into Christ consciousness so that they could also evolve. Because originally, way back when, there were very many, like back in the Egyptian times, there were very many high vibrational reptilians. We called them the white reptilians. And they were part of my 9th dimensional family is the high vibrational reptilians. They're crystalline white reptilians, very highly Christ consciousness, moving all the way up into the 13th dimension. And so the part of the species evolution that I'm a part of in the systems of light, thank you, Holy Spirit, systems of light, thank you. This is an expansive topic, so just make the notes that you so wish, but it will open your mind and it will expand who you are as an evolving soul. Because remember, as we're entering into this 5D enmeshment of plasma bedding, it's important that we understand the deeper galactic histories having to do with the Galactic Orion Wars, where that comes from and where those energies come from, that we're going to be seeing unfold in a lot of the corruptions and a lot of the fear programming, in a lot of the Epstein-like programming, which is just an undercurrent of very low vibrational domination, corrupt, very corruptive testing and experiments of taking the source essence out of who we are as humans, consciousnesses, and rising our consciousness with the consciousness of the Christ, which is the crystalline and carbon harmonizing together so that we become more and more crystalline through our practices and through our enfoldment with the light. And of course, through many evolutions of time, many galactic planets and species had gone into such a separative experience as Earth had been. Earth was a red flag planet because of the darkness and the densities that we had allowed ourselves to get lost in And that's why I've been bringing forward the erasing of the divine feminine. And how did that occur? The stark adaptations that divine feminine has to go into, divine feminine having to live a lot in her divine masculine energies. And as divine feminine heals, as the collective of divine feminine heals, which divine feminine have been ahead of the curve as far as divine masculines, divine feminine can now sit back and become more divine feminine as we're learning to understand how divine masculine can now move into their healing. And to do that, we're offering some galactic stories. We're offering some stories of galactic wars, obviously, on pre-extinction, how and why species go into that if they're moving into such a separative agreement and they're fight or flight, or they're win or lose, or they're fighting for survival type of energy beliefs and patterns that they get stuck in, will create, which is what we've seen on our planet, life turning into more like a business rather than life connection and building relationship with all that is source creator. Because we all know, those of us that have been on the path for a while, source creator is infinite life and light. As you're working with light, as you're integrating light, as you're harmonizing light, you have access to all that is source creator. So source creator is infinite, but there are many species within our galaxy that went into extinction because their separation of that Christ consciousness, that Metatronic light, was not as offered in its similitude as 10 million year Pleiadian cycle that had already been through Ascension. So I'm going to touch on a few galactic experiences from different planets and different energies to give you an idea and play with this idea of how to train your dragon, as bringing that primordial reptilian energy forward as the divine feminine, divine masculine, and then see the primordial dragon in your symbologies of the primordial energy of being a multiverse experience, not just an earthly experience. Understanding that what we're going to see unfold this summer and in the next 5 years is the pulling forward of corrupted primordial reptilian energies that have to be brought up and faced in the rehabilitation and the reintroduction for a non-extinctive experience, because I am part of the celestials, the councils, the federations. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Ashtar. Thank you, Commander Ashtar. Thank you. So thank you, Holy Ashtar. And the systems of light in reintroducing higher consciousness teachings, higher consciousness energy codes, Christ consciousness code, which is what I offer. I offer the Christ consciousness code in stories and liturgies for you to tap into, call forward to activate your higher vibrational, your expanded vibrational understanding of the divine masculine energies and what has happened in pockets of our galaxy, why those have happened, and how Earth plays that mirror so that we can heal, so that we have the ability to heal those energies and those wounds. Because we do obviously see things that have played out on our planet, even, you know, with various leaders touting, you know, nuclear war and things like that. Those are all energies from the Orions that have to be healed. And so just honor that we're moving through energies that are mirrored on Earth. The energies that are mirrored on Earth are very similar to those that have already gone on in the galaxy. And as I bring them forward as a galactic overview channel, you can allow yourself to look at the collective from a higher perspective and see the energies that are playing out. And then how can you reintroduce and infuse that Christ consciousness, that compassion, that love and forgiveness, so that we can allow ourselves to see all sides of the spectrum, where they come from, where these energies are coming from. Again, they were showing me that a lot of the Atlantean energies and what had occurred there, because we are continuing Lemurian and Atlantean energies this summer. A lot of those timelines are going to be reactivated. But in this reactivation, because we all know that in an ascension cycle, you're going to be given many stories and themes that have already been played out, but now you're reintroducing it with a higher Christ consciousness because you've gone through that healing of that infinity. What are your triggers? What are the beliefs? What are the patterns? And then you're reintroducing it with a higher vibrational belief and a higher vibrational light unfoldment. And so as you're understanding this, this is why a lot of the more difficult, more challenging human collective issues like enslavement and the trafficking, many of the corrupt leaders, how humanity has been sold, the agendas for human testing that have to be held off until as late as possible, because many of us have to be as healed as possible to be able to introduce these higher vibrational, expansive, galactic, multi-vibrational stories of abuse of power, of abuse of energy, of abuse of programs and systems, so that we can offer higher vibrational healings. Again, your teams aren't going to throw you the most difficult human experiences at the earliest stage of ascension. The most challenging parts of ascension are going to be as the people that have been on the path for a while are entering into 5D, so that we can help heal those that are just awakening, because there are going to be some very important, very profound shared galactic stories like human trafficking, human enslavement. All of those things are very deep, deep, galactically threaded wounds, and they require a multidimensional perspective. What we've been bringing up for a little while now is the DNA allocation. So part of what we're going to talk about in the How to Train Your Dragon has everything to do with DNA allocation. And that DNA allocation is, as you're going through the process of ascension, your DNA and your kundalini, which runs up and down the spine, and your DNA is like that threading of that reptilian, that snake, right? There's many of ancient symbolisms. If you go back to ancient texts, many of the DNA was also, and the kundalini was also represented as snakes and reptiles. And that is the earliest representation of who we have been on the planet, and then introducing crystalline energies through the Pleiadian DNA infusion way back in our earlier histories, because they knew that there needed to be that light Christ consciousness infusion for us to advance and for us to evolve into a galactic multidimensional being. So that was always pre-planned. It was part of the Father's plan. And there were many of us that were a part of that plan to bring those higher Christ consciousness teachings to Earth, to earlier tribes. And then we pick up, as we said in our last video, we're going to pick up where we left off in all of these spirals of ascension, so that we can continue teaching higher vibrational Christ consciousness lessons for other collectives that are moving through their awakening, to understand the ideas and the understanding of enslavement, trafficking, various leaders that are not awake, that are still running in their primordial reptilian energies. And we see many of them on our planet. They're running in their primordial reptilian energies. And how to advance the collective. And that is not by trying to change what is in the matrix, but actually redirecting yourself out of the matrix and creating those new healing systems and those cities of light. Because God and the systems of light and the legions of light, they're going to be taking care of those, because only God knows at what level of the DNA has been activated, the DNA allocation, where those people are in their experiences. So it's really important for light workers not to spend all of their time trying to change and infuse things on old wrong systems, if you will, or those beings that are still working from the primordial reptilian energies. And we see them in the news. It's not up to us to change any of those. It's up to Spirit and Source to redirect the awakening videos to those leaders. And it's up to the light workers now to just start redirecting and creating cities of light, new higher vibrational energies and information. And so How to Train Your Dragon is, in and of itself, that dragon is the idea of our reptilian DNA, our DNA coding, and that is the primordial energy. And in its earliest of stages, as I said, there have always been high vibrational reptilian beings. We are a part, humanity is a part, just as we are a part of helping the Greys rehabilitate their species. We are also a part of the reptilian rehabilitation species. Many of us have come forward to understand vibrational species programs within the galaxy, the hybrid program, the crystalline children program, the indigo children. They're all a part of these hybridized programs that help infuse Earth and lower vibrational densities. And I say densities as sectors of space where there has been very little Christ consciousness infusion. And part of the rehabilitation program for the overall species evolution for the whole galaxy and for the whole multiverse is to infuse certain aspects of crystalline light beings, Pleiadian light beings, and children that, like myself, have been born here but we're not from here. Because our DNA is highly crystallized, celestial DNA, we come with a higher resolve and a higher database for who we are as a soul experience. We're not so shut off to the various lifetimes that we've lived, where we have a higher interface with Source Creator, and that's what conduits really are. Higher source energies, as the crystalline children, as the indigo children, they do have a higher resonance to energies beyond the veil. They're here to rehabilitate Earth into a higher Christ consciousness species. And in our last video, Mother Mary was helping me, move beyond and helping us understand that not all beings on the planet moving through ascension will ever choose to accept and honor who they are as anything more than the oligarchy, misogynistic experiences that they've always run themselves as. And they'll just have to wait till a death cycle for them to be returned back to source, because as soon as they enter into their spirit, they see the various aspects of our unity and oneness. And that is the Christ consciousness unity consciousness. Part of unity consciousness is rehabilitating various species that did go extinct, like the Greys. The Orion consciousness, where a lot of the reptilians had been, they had themselves challenged through their wars of domination and control. They had very, very tragic devastations in the Orion experience, the Orion constellation, because of their belief systems of choosing that primordial energy of win-lose, resource survival experiences. And that was based on the non-activation of their DNAs. They could not activate their DNA into Christ consciousness. There wasn't enough of that crystalline energy. Every human has its aspects. Every human has the potential to activate their crystalline DNA. Every human has an understanding where they can access and they can activate the crystalline energies. And that is, as we say in all of our videos, are you working with Source Creator? Are you working with light? Are you enfolding who you are as light? So it's very important that the more you work with your light body, the more that you work with your everything as being light and healing yourself as that, you get to reintroduce your reptilian DNA into a higher crystalline DNA. And then generation over generation, that reptilian species is brought back into the Christ consciousness, which is the intention of rehabilitation species programs throughout the entire multiverse. And that's the role that I play on the systems of light, thank you, Holy Spirit, with galactic federations, is to speak and to bring promise and to bring information about our multiverse and how rich we are in DNA diversity throughout the entire galaxy, and how important it is for each of us to play a part in the rehabilitation of all Christ consciousness throughout all species. Because if we're not honoring that aspect of our unity consciousness and our oneness, then we will be in a red flag experience. And we obviously understand those leaders that talk about, nuclear war and nuclear programs, they're not active in any of their crystalline energy. They're still moving and working from a very separative, low vibrational experience. And so it's really important that we understand and we're able to discern what is going on in the social collective, how and why it is unfolding, where is it connected to within the galaxy. As I said, many planets are mirrored aspects of what has gone on in the galaxy, because it's our part to now infuse that Christ consciousness into those lower vibrational reptilian energies, because we're reintroducing the Christ consciousness back into rehabilitating the Christ consciousness for the reptilian species, which each and every one of us are a part of. Because again, Orions are the grandfathers of, as Arcturus are the grandfathers, they're the cornerstone, if you will, the cornerstone grandfather of galactic energies. And there's been many devastating wars there. And so those were the energies they brought forward to me, and how Earth is mirrored, because a lot of the species from Orion were then brought into an incarnation here on Earth. And that's why we always talk about your universality, why you go through what you go through, what are you experiencing, why are you going through it, and then who are you to start reintroducing a higher vibrational experience of who you are. And there is no such thing as junk DNA. The DNA is an aspect of who we are multiversally. And if you honor and understand how to work with your innate, which is the motherboard of who you are as the divine consciousness of all that is Christ consciousness, all of your sojourns through all creation, that motherboard, that innate, is how you navigate your Akash. It's how you navigate your DNA. It's how you navigate the gifts, skills, and talents, and all of those other aspects that you do carry with you on all other timelines. And so those of us that have been practiced in being multiversal coaches and teachers across the multiverse, which is what I am. As I said in my last video, I came to Earth at a very early incarnation of Earth to assist in early tribes understanding. We introduced the very first Christ consciousness energies, as well as all other tribes after that, and then celestials, which are going to be shown in many of these ancient cities that are being unearthed. they're all a part of these Christ consciousness offerings to assist humanity in raising their consciousness that is greater unified, and it is greater in alignment of light and unity, because then it will stave off the very devastating wars that had happened in Orion, that had happened on Maldak, that had happened for the Greys. The Greys weren't necessarily operating through their extinction through wars. They were just moving in a very disconnected experience through technology. Same with the Andromedans. The Andromedans had just about a red flag extinction because they had gotten so ingrained in their technology use. They were very highly technolized in their understanding. And then there were some things happened earlier in Lyra about the AI that had been introduced through Lyra and the felines. And the felines, the felines had often were created as an original AI experience, as an experimental experiments, and they ended up going to Lyra to rehabilitate themselves, and they ended up actually gaining consciousness. But how they were treated as slaves. The AIs were introduced as slaves. This is where we're seeing a lot of those AI mirrors here. And so we get to learn from what has happened in the galaxy. We get to learn from what has happened in those extinctive roles, the devastations that happened on, that the Pleiades were also involved with through the Orion Wars. Very devastating wars that went on for eons. And so it's up to us to bring these stories forward so that we can learn and we can assist ourselves in healing out of the red flag experience, as I've often said. If we're not understanding the balance of the divine masculine within us, divine feminines are not meant to stay fully in their divine masculine energies just for us to survive and maintain a living, if you will. We're meant to be lifted, and we're meant to be brought as high as possible and equal, so that we're not always living in our divine masculine energies, because divine feminine will then go into a negative adaptation of that divine masculine energy. And we're also seeing the other aspects of the adaptation in our entire collective, which is a lot having to do with the transgender energies. We're having to look at these things purposefully, and why the transgender energies have been so prominent over the past 30 years. I linked it back to a lot of the suppressed underground that had happened way back in the 50s, of a lot of the elite divine masculines that were 98% of the world leadership, the systems leaderships, how systems were created. And they had not been dealing with their soul issues, their soul wounding of the suppression of their divine feminine energies and their divine masculine energies. And that is where the underground began way back in the 50s. It began secret societies, and then they began experimenting and exploring their sexuality in the underground, because it obviously was not, they didn't feel it was able to be discussed in an open ground forum where people were educated in a multidimensional manner. It was something that was hidden and suppressed. And so that is the very beginning, was back in the 1950s, of this underground experience where divine masculines were suppressing and not talking and not dealing with their sexual suppressions, their sexual woundings throughout their soul's journey. And again, I always refer you to Jane, that channeler, Seth, the Seth channelings. She talks a lot about understanding the soul's journey through the various aspects that in your soul's evolution, you're going to absolutely have aspects of your multiversal experience where you're going to have to give yourself permission to be okay being attracted to metaphysically, intelligently, emotionally, sexually, to the same sex, allowing yourself to understand that you have these natural experiences through your growth into androgyny, which is your perfect balance of divine feminine, divine masculine energies. And in this journey to androgyny, you're going to have to move into those acceptances and observations and what beliefs you hold about your sexuality. And if you're dealing with those triggers, and if you're dealing with those experiences, we don't necessarily have to have the influx of what has been called and what has been offered as these very, seesaw, transgender, and all of these experiences that have forced us to look at our sexual preferencing. We're having to look at it in a very forced way, and it's a very beautiful experience that's why that we've seen it over time adapt. We've had to adapt in this way because the divine masculines were refusing to heal. Divine masculines, even to this day, they watch enlightenment videos and they watch Ascension and Awakening videos, but they're not doing the healing. They're not understanding that they do have divine feminine energies, that they do have to heal them and honor themselves when they're going through those experiences of those other soul timelines that do have to be healed, in which there were previous negative outcomes of allowing themselves to like the same sex. And what does that mean? Many people are walking around with many suppressed childhood woundings of molestation and sexual abuse. Those have to be healed. So part of all of these understandings at a very vast scope, they all have to do with our integration and our reintegration of who we are as, thank you, Holy Spirit. Reintroduce ourselves as balanced beings across the entire multiverse, and where and how the reptilian energy affects us when we're in that very primordial energy. And how to allow ourselves to, again, the 3 A's, acknowledge and accept it, and then move ourselves into an experience where there's greater balance of that divine feminine and that very earthy energy of compassion and balance, and allowing ourselves to move through these very expansive, profound soul journeys. But it does help us to understand where these stories come from and the galactic wars that had occurred. And if Earth can learn these lessons about balance, the number 2 law, right use of free will and non-interference is the number 1 law. And as we're introducing the universal laws, we're understanding how to respect and honor all aspects of life. Number 1 law, respect and honor. Not forcing, not manipulating the abuses of magic, the abuses of dark occult energies. Those are just byproducts, as we've been talking about for about 2 years. The abuses of occult, the black occult, the voodooists, and the black market underground, all of those things are just abuses, and they're just byproducts of the suppressions of not understanding and healing those sexual energies. So again, when you're looking at it from, got a little fluffy in my eye. When you're looking at it from an expansive evolutionary perspective, you can put things into grander scope of how you can move about your life and see and discern the unfolding vibrational stories of what's going on in the collective. And then you can bring it to a more centered space so that you can offer higher vibrational wisdoms and encourage, empower, and inspire everyone that is before you. The chat room is only for respectful discussion on ascension and enlightenment. So I'm not answering any of your questions. This is a class right now. This is about sacred space and learning. So you can't be learning if all you're doing is asking interview questions. I'm not here to be your private teacher and your private instructor. Again, if you want a session, then book a session. Most of these people that are on here, they're just wanting to just poke at you and cause issues. And again, they're going to be tracked. All IP addresses are being tracked. And so all of those experiences are really important to know that the teams have been giving me. How to Train Your Dragon is each and every one of us looking at the more galactic energies and the more celestial energies of that reptilian energies, the journeys that the reptilians have been on, just as the journeys that the Greys have been on. We have offered our DNA. We have offered many aspects of who we are at a socio-cultural experience for the Greys to advance themselves with Christ consciousness infused. We are here then teaching and offering higher vibrational consciousness teachings to all of humanity. So as much as humanity can get offered our teachings, to understand the scope of the vastness of who they are as multiversal, the DNA that sits within them, and how and why they go through what they go through, how and why they manifest what they do. And absolutely without question, look at your divine masculine feminine energies every day. Never suppress what you know that you have to deal with and face. Because the reason why, again, the underground was ever in the 50s was because of the lack of communication, the lack of understanding, the lack of higher vibrational wisdoms about the divine feminine masculine energies, because all of our multidimensional understandings of our ancient Egyptian temples that understood the light body, that understood divine feminine masculine energies, that understood the kundalini, that understood our chakras, that understood who we are as multivibrational light, those were all suppressed. And a lot of the suppressions came from the churches, from those dogmatic oligarchic systems that wanted to maintain control. They didn't want humanity understanding who they were as higher vibrational beings of light. So as we're coming into our own consciousness, we're coming into our own alignment of higher vibrational wisdoms, higher vibrational understandings of how vast we are throughout the cosmos, we can also attribute our healing and help the healing for the Greys and for the Orions that are all within us. The Orions are within us, the reptilians are within us, the Greys are within us, it's all within our DNA. As a part of my teachings through and in the systems of light with species reintegration and understanding the DNA, which I'm going to be a really big part of, I can't wait, I'm really excited. I'm working with the Galactic Federations and the systems of light while I'm in my sleep time. I'm on the light ships working with the rehabilitation programs throughout the entire galaxy. And then I bring whatever teachings and remembrances that I can. So I'm going to be focusing weekly on downloading everything that I'm doing in the higher realms that is multiversal, having to do with the species reintegrations. So I've got a few notes today that just touch on it's just touch. You can't even put into a year's worth of teachings what has gone on in just this one galaxy. We're this galaxy is, although it's, fairly young, it's still, billions of years old, if you will, because every planet goes through a different cycle of time, if you will, like we talked about in our last channel. But what we wanted to reintroduce about these How to Train Your Dragon is to understand that reptilian primordial energy, where it comes from, how it's activated and triggered. And it's usually triggered through your fight or flight responses, and it's very reactive. And understanding your emotional, intelligent body, which is the divine feminine experience. And so practicing, as I'm going to give you just a little synopsis of how to honor, as I offered earlier, my morning workout consists of shooting hoops. And so they gave me this download of How to Train Your Dragon and shooting hoops and how to harmonize a divine feminine energy in that. And I'll explain it just in a reference, if you will, so that divine masculines can look at their unfolding moment for moment life and call in their sports analogies, how and what it takes to throw and shoot a hoop and get it in, depending on where you're at in the key or outside the key, how and why rebounds are just as important in the game of basketball, if you will. Half of the game is built off of rebounds, and how that rebound is that quantum inertia from a transaction. Because everything in creation is a quantum experience. There is the negative, the positive, and then there's the neutral. There's always going to be a response from wherever that ball hits. Your mastery as a sports player, as a sports to coach and train yourselves as a sports master is to be relaxed enough to know that you're going to be receiving wherever that ball hits off of, because there's going to be an inertia from that. And then for you just to, as you're going to shooting a great basket and being on your top game in a basketball game, or if you're just shooting hoops, if you will, because when I shoot hoops, I always talk to my teams about percentages. And then they give me these downloads and then I later write it out. And so when you're shooting hoops, there is a certain level of quantum elegance in that. If I'm shooting hoops and I'm going from certain and different spots on the court and in the key or outside of the key, sometimes the shot is the same things that occur in Ascension when you're creating your reality. To create a great shot, it is direction and intention and then focus. So as we're focusing our intention to get that ball through the hoop from wherever we are in the key, there is a certain amount of quantum physics that has to occur in every shot. You're the vessel that is moving that centrifugal force, that ball over into the hoop. And however you move your body, and I was logging it this morning as I was paying attention to that direction, intention, and focus on my shots. If I just leaned forward from the top half of my body, just like 5 centimeters, that would make a difference in the arc of my shot going into the basket, as opposed to letting it hit the rim and then I'd have to go and make a rebound. That's a different inertia. That's a different rebound. So in the game of basketball, there is a lot of quantum elegance. Because you're not only playing with, if it's just me on the court, that's just the intention, direction, and focus that I have with just me in the basket. And then, of course, you have to take into account weather conditions because it's usually outside that I play. When it's a whole team, their whole team has to come into alignment of their direction, intention, and focus of that entire game as the overall goal. And then their direction, intention, and focus for every single shot that they're moving on. If they move their body just a slight bit forward, it helps in that propulsion of that arc to go into the hoop, as opposed to standing straight up and just allowing your arm to create that arc. So there's a lot of quantum elegance in the calculations of how a ball moves through air, through time, through space, if you will. taking all of those things into consideration, the allowance factor is in the divine feminine energies to calculate what the divine masculine is giving her as the download of information. And then the divine feminine is simply allowing that body mechanic to take place. So a lot of the sports medicine and the sport, the high, a lot of the very high paid sports, sports athletes, they do have people that help them with the psychology of teaching them that perfect flow and that perfect allowance of their body and that universal flow. There has to be an innate factor there. That innate factor is, now that you know the mechanics and the quantum elegance of your game, now it's just a matter of surrendering and relaxing into that divine feminine energy so that you can just move into that innate flow where you're in the zone. And so if you go to a lot of, there is some really great videos that have talked about art, great artists that just get in the zone. And how they do that is by, there's different theories on how an artist gets in the zone, if you will. But what we're talking about is there has to be a certain amount of experience where you've practiced the experience of the inertia, the gravity, the directions of what you're doing in your sport, if you will. Thank you for looking after the comments in the chat room, sweethearts. And in that, as I was making my shot, I was saying, okay, let's just move my body, the top half of my body, right? So this is my wrist is my hip, and then just move it slightly, like 5 centimeters forward. And what if I did that same shot, but just moving the top part of my body 5 centimeters forward as I'm doing that same shot? And 9 times out of 10, I would make that shot. That wouldn't have any bouncing off of the rim. I wouldn't have it bouncing off of the backboard. It would absolutely go in. It was a greater flow. So again, there is a lot of synergistic elements that go into making a perfect shot if it's just you. Part of what a team experience is that the players have to understand there is a synergy that has to occur for the whole team. They have to each be in alignment of, and as a great rock group, as I always talk about Rush, they're always very synergistic between each other. They know their roles in the game. They know where they're going to let hold back, and they know when they're going to advance. And you can take that as well. The holding back and the allowance is that divine feminine energy, and the advancing is the divine masculine energy. So again, every sport has its elegance of that quantum elegance, which is the divine intelligence. And the divine intelligence has also been what has been in the olden days termed as the junk DNA. And it's not. It's the divine elegance of the DNA now coming into activity because it needs to uplift and enhance all of the other aspects of the DNA. It is part of that experience where we have that reptilian DNA, but now that reptilian DNA wants to be infused with Christ consciousness. And there is absolutely quantum elegance in that. We have to be the ones that intend, direct, and infuse that Christ consciousness light into the experiences that we're finding our everyday experiences where there's old systems of very oligarchic, divine masculine misogynists that refuse to do their healing. They're not understanding quantum elegance. They're not understanding the elegance of the everyday play and the everyday minutia of just giving it to you as a liturgy of a basketball, of shooting hoops every morning. If you go and shoot hoops in the morning, just with you and the basket, and if you're outdoors, you have, of course, the elements of that playing into your quantum equation, if you will, and your physics of the shot. I gave you an outlining of the physics of a shot. And it does play in the body in and of itself and how the body is aligned to make that shot. There is a certain physical mechanic. There is a mental mechanic. There is a spiritual mechanic. The spiritual mechanic is the flow. It is being in that zone. When somebody is really on and playing, sometimes if you talk to a player that was really in the zone, they don't remember a lot of the game. They were just in that allowance factor of being their highest state of consciousness, and they were allowing their body to do the work. This is also in and of itself, so too, as they're showing me, how we can also look at healing in the physical body of itself. We're surrendering those aspects of allowing the body to work itself out through a disease, through an illness, by softening into the divine feminine and fully being in that receptor mode. So let's think about that, learning how to train your dragon, if you will, to when and how and why are we allowing ourselves to just sit back and allowing the divine feminine wisdom of the emotional intelligence to come forward and look at the intelligent design of the physics involved, of the quantum mechanics involved, and then have that divine masculine perhaps start to look more emotionally intelligent, which is what the divine masculines have been lacking, is the emotional intelligence, because they've been so much caught up in their, as we talked about a few videos ago, their mental viruses. And they're so overworked in their mental viruses, which a lot of the world leaders are now showing signs of, a lot of mental viruses, and those mental viruses cannot match And they cannot sustain themselves in higher vibrational bedding. They just won't. And they're showing signs of it. And so, again, be discerning and have that really expansive scope on how you see, why you see what you see, and start understanding that everything we're moving through is the healing of our multiversal experiences of infusing all that we are as a vibrational being of carbon and crystalline. We are, Earth is absolutely, we just started talking about this a couple of years ago, Earth is the planet of diverse species, equality, and integration. And this is where a lot of the children of today, we have to be very open, receptive, allowing, honoring, and lifting them up to higher vibrational light systems, because these are the hybridized children that have already activated a lot of the DNA that I've just finished talking about, the grays, the species of extinction, and they're here to offer higher vibrational intelligence through their higher vibrational DNA activations, but the systems are not allowing them to offer that. We have to be very compassionate into how the children of various diversities, like myself, I'm a hybrid, I'm a high functioning, I'm an indigo, I'm a conduit, how I offer my unique vibrational multiversal expression is very unique. I have a lot of celestial energy, and the more I accept that, the more that I work with that, the more unique and diverse my expression will be. My expression is going to become more and more me. It's going to become more and more naturally me, because I'm activating more and more of my celestial energy. I'm activating more of my celestial DNA. I'm integrating those parts of the Orion experiences that were very, very traumatizing, that I helped. They're just showing me now. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Part of the detours that I had gone on the past 6 years was really to bring in Christ consciousness to a lot of those multiversal timelines for ascension of those species. So those of you that have been on the path for a while, you can put down in the comments. They're just showing me this. We've never talked about this before, but the Arcturians are showing, yes, this is true. When a collective goes through an ascension, on planet Earth is going through an ascension, but because we're so diverse in our DNA, because we're so diverse in our species allocation, we're going to talk about I'm going to have different classes down the road about species allocation. It's very vast, it's very complex, and it needs to be done in a private class for those that are truly interested in learning about it. But in our process of ascension, and as we're spiraling around, we're activating more and more of our multiversal DNA. The energies that we anchor and that we infuse within our Christ consciousness, as I've been talking about, knowing your ascension cycle, what are you being triggered on, what are the energies? What I had come from was a lot of enslavement and a lot of domination energies, which were from the Orion collective, which were from those Orion wars. And they were very traumatic. I couldn't probably do that cycle again. I probably couldn't. I probably would never want to. It was very, very dark. It was very traumatic, you know, to pull those energies and then infuse it with Christ consciousness. But I'm very proud and I'm very happy. My teams are celebrating me all the time about how much I did with the Christ consciousness in those very dark timelines. I'm able to move and traverse the multiverse for specific experiences like that. Remember our last video we talked about, I've talked about several times the triad of the universes that are going through an ascension, that as a new level of source energy comes down with new codes of light for the multiverse, right? For the multiverse, there's lower vibrational platforms that have to be moved out, just as Earth is, just as you are as the beehive. Every universe is a beehive. And as those lower vibrational templates are pulled out, higher vibrational codes get placed in. So as we're moving through the infinity of now, a lot of the Orion experiences within our galaxy, those Orion templates were pulled out. Those in turn, remember we talked about that inertia kickback. That inertia rebound allowed us to be triggered within ourselves, within our DNA, within our quantumness, our Merkabas, our soul stories, our soul sojourns. Why you get activated some days with very deep and thick remembrances of enslavement, and you just have to break down crying, or you have a dream that reminds you of when you were raped and put in a cabin, and just all you were used for as a raping tool, if you will. All of those experiences are aspects of ways that you trigger yourself to heal those Orion experiences of dark matter that are now being reintroduced and rethreaded. I said in my last video about those particles of energy in the ascension process that have to get rethreaded. So you're having to rethread those energies, which is what I do as a conduit. I rethread those energies in a now Christ consciousness. Many of you that are my clients that have been on the path of ascension for a while, you are also too. You are also two aspects of those that can understand what you're seeing, how come you're seeing it, what you're manifesting, how come you're manifesting it, and you get to rethread those particles of energy so that you're reintroducing those Orion particles, those black matter particles in the triad of the universe. Those are also those of us that do a lot of grid work. Those of you that do grid work, those of you that work with the grids and you understand that. So that's basically what they're showing me in the triad of the universe. Some of those kickback inertia energies and those dark matter particles, those dark matter activation memories, whether it's a vision, whether it's a dream, whether it's an experience, somebody in your family, you know, has been treating you like a slave or whatever, all of those are ways that you heal the galactic celestial experiences that we all have as souls throughout the galaxy. There is always going to be an inertia kickback. That is part of quantum physics. That's part of the quantum mechanics. That's part of the physics of anything that you're doing anything with force. Remember, the divine feminine masculine energies, the infinity. What do you choose now? How are you directing, intending, and focusing your energy? Your energy is how you're moving that matter experience. So you being in the vessel of you, how are you going to direct, intend, and focus? And what is that kickback going to be? We're all seeing now that what you're putting out is what you're getting back. If you're working a lot in the dark occult and in the dark matter, the kickback is pretty profound and you're going to have to face that dark matter kickback. You're the only one that can face what you've created. So again, that is part of the quantum physics of why you're doing what you're doing, and then sort it out so you can create a higher vibrational belief. You don't have to do anything outside of you. Just work with your life force. And again, work with your divine feminine masculine energies. Work with your divine feminine masculine energies so you don't have to keep clearing all that karma because you're choosing low vibrational beliefs and practices. Dark practices, voodoo, interfering with other people's paths, black magic, and all of those underground secret society, sacrificing all of those practices, you're going to have to clear and face everything that you've done to anybody. And that also has been feeding through the corruption of the collective. Most of the systems have been created by divine masculine. Most of the systems are run by divine masculine. And therefore, thus then, if they're not healing their divine feminine masculine energies, if they're not healing their sexual suppression energies, if they're not healing their sexual molestation and sexual abuse energies, they're going to be divine masculines that are going to move into corruption because they're corrupting of their soul. They're not healing those energies of the experience of the spirit. So whatever sojourns that divine masculine has been on, it needs to be healed. It needs to be brought in for integration and infusion. That is how to train your dragon. It's that primordial energy. If this is what's happened to me from a past occurrence, if it continually is showing itself to me in my reality, let's deal with this sexual preference energy. What is this about? And then you draw it out, you sort it out. Because anything that you're taking action on, anything you're directing your intention on, anything you're directing your focus on is going to have that inertia back kick. That's just quantum physics. So we wanted to bring up that analogy of basketball. And as I've been shooting my hoops every morning, as I do my workout every morning, I'm discovering more and more that there is a lot of elegance within the just taking shots throughout and moving around the court. And as I'm moving inside the key and outside the key, there's a lot of elegance that I have to then adjust my body. I have to adjust how I'm throwing and the quantum force I'm putting behind that throw, depending on where I am inside the key or outside the key. And if I move my body just slightly forward, just from the hip up, and I'm just leaning into that shot just a little bit, that changes the whole shot in and of itself. And then again, the arc has to take place, right? So allowing just a little bit of analogies from basketball and the elegance that shooting hoops can have allows you to understand, again, there is a natural innate experience. If you look at every part of a shot, there is the divine masculine, there is the divine feminine within every shot. Then if you're adding the other players on the court, there is then a synergistic play between all players and then, of course, the team they're playing against. So everything is a synergistic play. There is always quantum physics involved in everything. The omnipresence is God, source creator, showing you what you're doing in your energy vessel. What quantum force are you experiencing? Where's that quantum vibration coming from? And what is going to be that inertia that you have to require to transmute and give it back again? That's why we've said over the past few years, those that practice in dark magic and occults, you're going to have to go through 10 times as much transmuting just to make yourself get back to a balanced zero state, the zero balance point. Because you've brought in so much dark energy, dark matter practice, all because of misguided beliefs. that you had to take something from somebody to be balanced and have okay energy within yourself because of your no sense of self, because of your insecurities, because of your jealousy, because of your envy. So again, you don't want to deal with all of those energies of negativity like jealousy, envy, no sense of self, insecurities, rejection issues, abandonment issues. Those are negative energies. Those are called the shadow. Anytime you're dealing with a shadow energy, if you deal with the shadow energy in a negative way, you're just compounding negative and negative. Therefore, it's more karma you have to deal with, more karma you have to clear, more inertia you're going to have to create to clear that negative energies. Again, it's quantum physics. You don't want to keep throwing the ball really super hard at the basket. You have to have that inertia of give and take and understanding the flow of a perfect shot. You have to understand the balancing of the physical mechanics, the balance of the emotional mechanics and the direction and the focus to get that shot in, and then have the synergy of all your players and the synergy of the conditions, the synergy of the elements, and so on. So it is no different. You have to understand that. You have to understand the play. So we're bringing it forward to you with the synergies of, say, a sport, if you will. How to train your dragon in and of itself is that when you're feeling those aspects of the divine masculine out of balance, you can see it in our collective reality with all of the leaders today. They're, you know, the ones that are always in our news are the ones that they're wanting to promote, obviously, because the medias are all paid by the politicians, right? And those that are the catalyst to the politicians, they play us stories for those that are in other countries, you know, that tout nuclear war. They are all aspects of the primordial energies of divine masculine energies that are not healed, obviously. And how do we infuse the Christ consciousness in that is calling judgment, and then seeing the political leaders transition out or have them take ascension healing, ascension training, so that they can understand their energy systems and they're not making very foolish, detrimental, catastrophic choices on behalf of their collectives. Which, if we look at, I think it was President Putin and his last warning to NATO about his nuclear progress that he chooses, those are detrimental experiences of a very wounded divine masculine. And so again, look at the collective unfolding from higher vibrational ways, and he needs to look at how he's training, how to train his dragon. He's not at all. He's living right from that primordial winner takes all. If you don't succumb to my you know, my desires in this NATO discussion, then there will be nuclear experiences. And who is he to play God on the entire planet with such devastating consequences? And he won't. The Galactic Federations are all over that. But I'm just giving you experiences of those that are very catastrophic divine masculine leaders that don't have any clue about anything to do with cosmic unity, universal unity, consciousness, unity consciousness. They're still stuck in a lot of, and again, these are the people that are supporting the systems, creating the systems. These are the people that are touting all systems. They're all divine masculine. There's less than 1% of divine feminine that are leaders on the world. So we have to understand there's a very big dichotomy that is going on right now. And how do we see it from the highest levels of perspective? How is it also linked to other aspects throughout our galaxy and the wars that have occurred? What were the unfoldings of those planets? And we don't want to have the devastations that occurred in those planets. And this is why the Galactic Federations do step in, because they do see certain trending of energies, because that's what energy is. It's a trend. You can predict certain levels of energy. If there is not balance brought in, if the divine feminine is not brought in, if there is not higher vibrational teachings and wisdoms brought in, if we're not opening who we are to the multi-vibrational beings of all that we are, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, if we're not reconnecting ourselves in connection and rebuilding of our relationships with spirit, with all that is nature, with all that is source creator, with all that is God, with all that is our celestial teams, if we're not creating any connection with who we are within, then we're in a very devastating path. Which is everything that we've been talking about for 17 years, is how to reintroduce yourself as a cosmic being. How to reintroduce yourself is knowing that you're here activating all of your cosmic DNA, that you will be brought forward in various visions, remembrances, and understandings of your other sojourns. When you're facing something in your everyday moments and your everyday triggering, how to see it from a wider perspective. And if we want to look at how to train your dragon, if you go to that Disney movie, I think it was Disney or DreamWorks, that movie, I love that movie. It was one of my favorite movies. Very well written, and it was a lot of symbologies in that movie. I think there was Learn How to Train Your Dragon 1, 2, and 3, I think. I love that movie. It was a great movie. A lot of great symbolisms there about the various aspects of the dragons and the gifts that those dragons held and how each one of those dragons needed something different. Each and every one of us that are divine feminine and helping the divine masculines heal, every divine masculine and every sect of species allocation. This is why I have to go into a separate class, and I'm getting downloads because it is a very complex topic, because Earth is so diverse, billions of people on Earth, and the DNA allocation to billions of people on Earth, especially the hybrid children. I'm coming forward as a representation, as a template, as a soul blueprint template of celestial, alien, angelic DNA, and how that looks in a capacity to assist humanity in evolving into a higher light body, into a higher light understanding, into evolutionary beings throughout the cosmos. There's so much more. I mean, it's just like, how do you understand all of those planetary species and every DNA that everyone, this is just, I just give you how mind-blowing a soul blueprint is. And this is where nobody has the right to play God on anybody's life. One soul blueprint can have this many lifetimes. Every one of those dots has a different sequencing of DNA. Mind-blowing. Every one of those dots is your experience of who you are on that planet, in that dimensional bedding, in that dimensional bandwidth. You can have like 6 bodies, forms, humanoid forms, in, say, a gray experience. Every one of those gray experiences, because they're also going through their evolutionary species, their DNA is changing all the time because it's being helped infuse with Christ consciousness through the help of humanity. So too is the Orion, so too are the reptilians. Everything is being infused with Christ consciousness every generation, every DNA. So for you as a soul, and as you become more soul infused, working through your 51% of your karma, your DNA becomes, as we said in our last video, a kaleidoscope of light, because you're now offering and integrating a full scope of the allocation, not just 1 or 2 peggings of staying in low vibrational reptilian DNA, and you just stay there repeating mental viruses. So that's how profound, you can't even, I mean, it's incredible. Every one of those dots has a different DNA sequencing through which one of those codons will have that sequencing activation. The more density you're clearing and turning into light, you're alchemizing that into light by understanding your divine feminine masculine energies. You're integrating those woundings, you're integrating those galactic multiversal experiences. You're calling it in as you're infolding, you're calling it in as a part of your shadow. You're then radiating it as light, and you're honoring that divine feminine masculine. You don't have to overplay the divine masculine energies, which divine feminines have to do for us to even survive. We've had to play more of a masculine role for us to even have our voices heard, as I've offered you in all of my experiences through my discrimination cases. I've had to play primarily a masculine energy just to be heard. And it shouldn't be that way. That's how you know the planet is out of balance. Because there's very little, if any, divine feminine energies ever in our collective that are being lifted, that are being honored, that are being infused as everyday experiences, everyday energy. So again, it's up to each and every one of us. How can we infuse divine feminine energies every day? And into that, divine masculines are now becoming confused. Well, if divine feminines are now in more of their energies, I want to give this to you because it's very important. As divine feminine are stepping and sitting back in their divine feminine energies, and they're not allowing themselves to surrender into toxic environments. They're releasing themselves from toxic environments, from toxic experiences, from the divine masculine that refuses to heal. That causes the divine masculine to wake up synergistically, quantumly. They have to look at their woundings of what's going on within them, because now the energy that you're sitting in is a balanced divine feminine. You're sitting back in your divine feminine energies, and they've mostly seen you in the divine masculine role and divine masculine energy. So now they have to sort themselves out to say, well, you're a divine feminine energy, but you're still holding your ground, but you're not primarily in a masculine energy. You're in a divine feminine energy. They then, through that projection of divine feminine, they're being forced now to look at themselves in that divine feminine DNA allocation. Where are their energies of divine feminine being lost? Where are their divine feminines being misrepresented? Where are their divine feminine energies being absolutely skewed, and then they go into a corruptive experience of those underground sexual sexual suppressions, many of the unfoldings this summer will show many so-called titled professional beings that are going to be called out for their underground lifestyles because they chose not to heal their wounds. They chose to sit in the underground expression and exploration experience of not dealing with their sexual suppressions. So we're going to see a lot of those unfoldings this summer, and that will show you again the correlation of the divine masculine collective being very out of balance. There will be some divine feminine as well, but there will be mostly primarily, there'll be many divine masculines coming forward being shown to be taken off of their posts, if you will, because they've held much corruption. And they've hid it all in the secret society corruption, in their plays of the system and abusing systems, abusing power, abusing energy, abusing money, abusing technology, and all the things that we've talked about. So as we've been giving you this very grand surface scope of very many stories and very many liturgies over time, it can allow you a greater understanding and greater cognition, because once you cognize it, that becomes a learning growth. When you cognize something, it is also as equal to integration. Processing one traumatic story, as I did over the past 6 years about the Orion Wars, it was a very dark experience. It was very, I mean, again, just constant, I'm still processing and healing those experiences, right? So I'm understanding the higher level of learning now, because now I was just busy processing, transmuting. Now I get to raise my consciousness, because now the consciousness learnings from those experiences of those very dark suppressions of how divine masculines got stuck in their oligarchic, misogynistic patterns of mental viruses, because they weren't being showed how to process and how to face how to train your dragon, how to be in that equal balance of divine feminine masculine energies, how to understand the elegant play of quantum mechanics, of quantum physics, how to know that whatever you're putting out is going to come back. Can you soften into your divine feminine emotional intelligence and allow a higher story to come forward and release that old mental pattern, that old mental virus? And that goes too with the analogy of how to train your dragon, because each one of those dragons came with very innate skills and gifts. So the reptilians, the overall analogy is the reptilians come with very many beautiful, very sacred, very earthy, magical gifts. But if it's not used in a positive and balanced way, if it's not being harmonized with divine feminine inertia, with the divine feminine sitting back and allowing that rebound to play itself out, for divine feminine sitting back in her energy, the divine masculines are going to have to be forced to look at who they are, because we're not playing that divine masculine interplay with them anymore. So there's a lot there. It's a huge download. Make notes on it, sit with it, unpack it. There's a lot there, but it's a profound download that I was given as a galactic experience that everybody is integrating. It's integrating right now. And integrating is in and of itself cognizing. Cognizing is maybe watching the video a couple of times over, making your notes, and then reviewing, observing, and reflecting on how it's in your life. How are you seeing divine masculines not facing their aspects? When you do sit back in a divine feminine energy and you're not playing that tit for tat divine masculine energy as a divine feminine, you are actually being your divine feminine energy in your divine feminine, because you've healed your wounds. You know when to cut those energies off. You know when to cut toxicity off. You're not playing that divine masculine distorted role as a divine feminine because you've had to, because creation on this planet has been so imbalanced for divine feminine. Then you're allowing the universe to absolutely come forward with higher Christ consciousness miracles, because you're playing your role, as we said earlier. Once you've learned the lesson, you can allow who you are to sit back in the energy that you are and allow the miracles to be infused as that divine relationship. Again, synergy. Divine feminine knows synergistically when to sit back and allow the divine feminine energies to take place. Just as, again, we've talked about the Rush band. They absolutely are geniuses in each one of their roles, but to be synergistically precise as they are when they play together, they absolutely have synergy together. There's no way they could play what they play without being synergistic. They each know their role within the triad, and they do it to perfection. So they know when to pull back and they know when to go forward with action. That is the divine feminine masculine energies, which I also gave you as a liturgy as the shooting hoops. There is that quantum mechanics, there is that quantum elegance, and it's all God, it's all source. understanding your role within it, understanding you're the vessel within it. So it's a new way to look at something that's really cool. So thank you to the Orions that were helping me with that. And Commander Ashtar. Whew, that was a big one. So we're going to go deeper and wider into How to Train Your Dragon. There's a lot of symbologies there, and you can watch that and just play with those analogies in your own reality, and bring that out for other divine masculines to empower themselves as, you know, when they're playing sports and when they're doing various things, there is a certain amount of divine feminine energy that has to be in that allowance phase, and get them to go deeper into the allowance, get them to go deeper into understanding quantum physics in the inertia. The force they put out is the force they're going to receive. So understanding all that is within creation is a quantum physics synergy. That's source creator. Source will always meet you equal measure. Divine feminine are not meant to be in their divine masculine energies just for us to be seen and heard and to have a successful life. And even when we are doing all the right things and going all the right routes and doing legally the right things, the divine masculines are still setting up systematic programs. Governments are setting up systematic programs of secret societies to make sure we never receive. So again, it's like impossible, impossible, impossible. So there's no way for any divine feminine to ever win. That's the point. So then I ask you the same question. What intelligence and what genius in any person's right mind would ever think that a planet entirely of men, how would the outcome ever be of that? Again, the children won't incarnate, the women won't incarnate, so it will be a planet of just men. And then eventually, because the men can't give birth, the men can't reproduce, it will just be a planet of extinction. Again, in these type of Epstein agendas, of suppressing divine feminine, of suppressing certain voices, of suppressing higher quantum, ancient Egyptian teachings of who we are as multiverse beings, of working with our light bodies, of working with who we are as multidimensionality. None of the Epstein agendas, which is what has been currently over thousands of years of divine masculine running the planet into the systems that are now, every single one of these Epstein agendas will run themselves into extinction. And this is why I come on my videos every single time. What sense does it make if you draw it out? Oh, Putin and oh, world leaders, if you absolutely are moving yourself into extinction. And is that wise? Is that very wise? Is that wise? And why aren't the healers and the leaders moving themselves into synergy to absolutely start creating the highest vibrational healing for all of humanity in every sector, in every country, in every way, and lift up the higher vibrational teachings? Ask the leaders, ask the corrupt societies, ask the corrupt secret societies, ask the corrupt Masons, ask the corrupt black magic voodooists, ask everybody that is working themselves into extinction. They will have to face their towers, they will have to face the rebound of all their black magic, and they're not protected. There will be death, there will be extinction. So at what point does that make sense? What sense does it make for Putin to tout nuclear destruction? Whether it's a large destruction or small destruction, any nuclear emission is destruction. What sense does that make? What sense does it make for most of the world leaders today are divine masculines that are unhealed, that have no connection with their higher selves, that have no connection with multidimensionality, that have no connection with spirit or source? They're still being overtaken by low vibrational subjugations of religion, which is fear and dominance. There's going to be things coming out, which they showed me in my channel, of the Vatican, and many of the things that the Vatican have been keeping under wraps because they wanted to maintain control of certain informations reaching the people, because the people wanted to gain that power of self, that understanding of self, that reclaiming of self. So there's going to be a lot of things come out of those people that were in such certain sects that we've given such power to, were a part of the very corruption. So how does that make sense? How does that make sense of these so-called righteous holy people that, again, as we said in other videos, how does it make sense that these righteous holy people withhold information that is very key to humanity's evolution to non-extinction? How is that okay? How is it okay for the YouTube corruption, that they know what they're doing, and the peoples that have been involved in suppressing my platform? How is it okay for suppressions and anybody to think that they're playing God to keep my platform suppressed when my teachings are the very thing to help humanity through a non-extinction experience? How does that make sense? Nobody wins. So this is, again, when you look at the Epstein agendas, nobody wins. Nobody wins. Everybody dies. So how is that smart? Is that okay? How is that okay? These people that continue the systematic targeting on divine feminine, the systematic targeting on the ones that actually have talent, the ones that are actually being taken from and stolen from, the light workers and the healers and the teachers of Christ consciousness, that has nothing to do with religion, because we're allowing ourselves to grow beyond all the pillars that were, and that's why they're breaking and falling. What sense does it make it for everything to break and fall, but the ones that are commanding the red button push? What sense does that make? So you all lose. Does that make you feel good that you've just killed a whole bunch of people and you've got extinction on your soul template? And you're going to have to go into every dark timeline from here on out till the end of eternity because you chose to want to be power over others? How is that making sense for the all of creation? Draw it out. If you're a leader, if you're a world leader, what sense does that make? I want you to draw it out. I want everybody as a responsible participant of Earth, draw it out on a piece of paper with a negative, a neutral, and a positive in the infinity. What sense does it make for any nuclear reaction in any way, whether it be in the ocean, whether it be on ground, whether it be directed at some third world country, which is what I'm not even going to go into it. What sense does it make? Who will gain? Who will win? And we all know the reasons and the motives and the agendas behind such statements. There's energies and there's motives behind that statement. Putin has a financial motive. All leaders do, because that's how they run the world. They run the world like a business. They don't run it for the people or for the land. And that is their, again, as Source Creator said in my last video, 2 videos ago, if the purity of heart is not there, mother and father are going to become their higher selves and they will be transitioned out. Whether you're somebody that has been practicing black magic and you have been interfering with everybody's life to make your story narrative work, to make your life go okay, to make your life fit, to make your false corruptions fit, to make your money and bribes go under the table while nobody else notices, while you're fucking over other people's lives. It doesn't matter what your agendas and what your motives are and what your intentions are. You will be called out and you will be moved out. Because your purity of intention is for your selfish gain and your selfish gain only. Again, how are you training your dragon? You're training your dragon for self-extinction. Absolutely. Along with everybody else. So how's that going to win? The underground trafficking, how is that going to win? How does underground trafficking serve anybody? Draw it out. I want, if you guys are responsible, if all of you are responsible, participants in unity consciousness, you are going to be a part of healing the systems that have not worked, that have been failed. How is it going to be that each and every underground experience, how is that going to work? How does that benefit anybody? The children are going to come forward and they're going to be messed up adults because none of their energies are healed and they have a lot of sexual entities now because those sexual entities were transferred by the corrupt adults that chose not to get healed. They didn't have that choice in fate. They were taken as children. They were used as sexual toys if they survive. And these now children growing up into young adulthood, now they're all messed up. They have no idea who they are multidimensionally. They have no idea because nobody's showing them. All the platforms are shut down and suppressed. Who the hell are these people that are just running the world into absolute extinction? Who are these people? Draw it out. I want everybody in YouTube that says the companies that are behind, the companies that are directing, anybody that is directing and financing any platform to be suppressed, I want these people to actually get a piece of paper and draw out the infinity. They will be a part of their own extinction. I want everybody to start thinking and drawing things out as you're facing your day-to-day experiences. And that's how you know you're ascending. Because you're actually going to take a few minutes to sit back and say, what's going to be the inertia from this experience? How can I start infusing Christ consciousness? How can I start changing my perspectives on what's not going on within me? No, we are going to raise our vibration. Everybody has a choice. Everybody has a voice. And we're going to be harmonized in new world systems. Because it's needed. It's required. Again, what sense does it make for anybody to play God over any? Because they're not. Anybody that thinks they're playing God, whether it's an underground Masonic group, whether it's a judge, whether it is a political leader, every person that thinks they are playing God by abusing black magic, by abusing occult, by abusing secret societies, by abusing technology, by abusing energy, by abusing power, by abusing the people's monies, it will be shown this summer. And the names will be brought with it. And the groups and the businesses will be brought with it. Those that have been abusing corruption, each and every one of these beings and these people and these groups will be shown. If each and every one of them drew it out, they would have seen their own demise. And they would have caught themselves before they walked into that demise. What sense does it make to do the things that the leaders are doing? And therefore, thus then, their intentions and their motives are blatant. Divine feminine must be brought into balance on this planet in a very grand and profound way. Why? Because we have emotional intelligence. Every person that we're hiding on the channel and their IP addresses are being seen and they're being traced. There is a no tolerance now. And all of the people on the chat room, when you're supporting Sacred Space, you are also being blessed positively with karma. This is very sacred space, and these are for the multiverse ascension. So grow up, people. And thank you for those that are creating sacred space by setting boundaries. There's very clear boundaries about my channel, and everybody has been told. I'm not here for your toxic, satanic, underground, occult abuse. I have my right to be exactly who I am. I'm a multiverse teacher and a healer. Why? Because I support the entire multiverse. Not ignorant people that refuse to heal and refuse to look at their ignorance. Get off my channel for the billionth time. You're not welcome here. If you want to heal, if you want to grow, if you want to be a leader of thyself as Christ consciousness, as going within and harmonizing yourself with Mother, Father, Spirit, with Mother, Father, Source, Creator, with your own planet that supports and feeds you and nourishes you and gives you a house, how could you not care? And if you don't care, get off my channel. I don't mind saying it. Get off my channel. If you don't care about the planet, if you don't care about your collective, if you don't care about your multiversality in any way, get off my channel. I'm not here for your abuse and wasting of my precious, precious energy and time. Thank you. Lord Michael, Commander Ashtar, and the legions, please move these energies off our platform so that people that are here to learn can absolutely learn and be protected in their energy. Thank you for assisting us in creating sacred space. I will not be touched. Doesn't your hate get boring? Doesn't your mind mental viruses and get boring? Doesn't it get boring to be ignorant and rude? Doesn't that get boring? Can you draw it out? How about something new? How about you bring in something new? Like a little bit of self-care. Why don't you go in and start loving yourself and feel how that feels? Why don't you try something new today? Like not hating people and going on and wasting their time on their precious time and their precious platforms. If you don't like the platform, don't go on it. There's a billion other YouTube platforms. YouTube corruption, let's go there. What purpose will it make for YouTube in all of its benefit? I want to give this as a business perspective because that's how all the leaders look at everything. Those that have seen the non-inclusivity, as Commander Ashtar has said to us many times, as the Christ consciousness, Jesus, Lord Sananda offer, inclusivity is everything. If any business, if any properties, if any lifting to a higher vibration of unity and oneness, calling in more customers, calling in more youth, calling in more vibrations, calling in more complexity, calling in more of everything. Wouldn't it make sense to call in all those that are of higher intelligence, whether it makes you look not so intelligent or not? Doesn't that benefit your overall business in and of itself? Wouldn't the collective of so-called leaders in the political genres, wouldn't it make more sense to call more and more and more intelligence that is beyond political genre? Because political genre is a very small, captive, low vibrational experience. It's us and them. It's politicals or republics. It's Republican and Democrats. It's us and them. It's us and them. It's us and them. It's wasting so much time. How about you just go to unity, consciousness, and oneness, and then you go into a higher vibrational intelligence? How about that? How about you start there? How about you bring in a few divine feminine and get them to start offering you higher vibrational wisdoms? How about you go there? Wouldn't that benefit everybody involved, not just you? But see how the low vibrational mind viruses will show itself this summer. And that's why there's going to be so many towers, so many businesses being affected. They're going to be paying out so much money for all the abuses that they've done and the losses and the dramas and the torment and the traumas that they've caused by controlling and dominating and thinking that they have power to say who gets expression and who doesn't. And using secret societies to put spiritual hits on people. Or underground trafficking. How is underground trafficking going to benefit the greater good? It's not. It's benefiting those ones that get paid and pay in and out of it. How does the black web benefit all of creation? Okay, well, we've seen a shadow there, but how is it actually benefiting all of humanity? What is the benefit there? How are we benefiting from this? Where's the healing going to go? Who's going to pay for the healing? How are we going to understand higher vibrational wisdoms and understanding if we're not approaching any of these topics? They're just pretending that none of these gross topics are there because why? Divine masculines have mostly predominantly created it. They don't want to face who they are. So divine feminine, we have to sit back in our pure divine feminine energies, and we just have to keep being divine feminine energy so that they absolutely face who they are. And we have to sit ourselves back in not being in our divine masculine energies because we have to only be heard in this reality. Because everything we've had to do has had to be more in our divine masculine energies. So now God and Source Creator is saying, now all of you that have been on the path for a while, you have been in your divine masculine energies a lot. You've had to heal. You've had to get yourself to a certain state of voiceability, if you will. You've had to get yourself to a whole state of creating your own business and being on par with divine masculines. Now you have to absolutely sit back in your divine feminine energy, and you have to allow the divine masculines face themselves in their divine masculine warped distortions and their divine feminine warped distortions. Because when you play that true divine feminine role, you're having them look at their warped distortions. There will be that dichotomy of how to train your dragon. Well, when you're not in all divine masculine energy and you're not in your warped distortions, you're going to have to look at who you are. That's called the inertia. It's going to be that omnipresent interplay. It's going to be that quantum intelligence, that quantum divine elegance. So that is where you have to understand the quantum elegance of all creation. That's God. God knows what God's doing. We're the ones that brought so much distortion in it because of the non-healing. So there has to be healing. What benefit does it play if we continue down this track? What benefit? Systems will continue being corrupt, which they are. A lot of that's going to come out this summer about the corruptions in the systems. And those playing in those corrupt systems. What benefit does it take for somebody in a system, policing, banking, judicial, insurance, real estate, legal, politics, whatever the genre is? If there was somebody that took $5,000 to falsify paperwork to make sure that paperwork went through for an innocent person to be blamed for something that they didn't do or they weren't even involved in, but because the people that were falsifying it, they wanted their story and their narrative to go through, secret societies were involved, 50 people were involved in this experience, what is the benefit of that? Because at all points in the equation, the universe will always come back to center, and the universe will always say, no, you will have to face your deeds. You're not going to be moving and sliding by your corruptions. Their intention was for me to be not here, to be wiped out. And so I said again, if you draw it out, what benefit would that have played for everybody involved, the 50 people, if per se I was to be taken out and they did sacrifice me and they did kill me? What benefit would it be to them when they had to answer to all the children that looked at them as those that told the truth, and they had to explain that story of the person not being there anymore? What would they have said? Would they have called it a suicide? Would they make it look like a mysterious suicide? We don't know why she did, and you'd blame it on the divine feminine when it was really your underground occult covert abuse? There were really government involved and people paying people back and forth. Lots of money involved in making sure all these falsifications and things occurred. What benefit would it be when everything in the end, the infolding will come right back to everybody involved? You took your career absolutely into destruction by taking a bid or a bet or a bribe from somebody to be a part of a corruptive experience that you were told for sure the divine feminine wouldn't make it. She wouldn't even, there's no way that she would come back and voice her justice, her rights, her human rights, and everything that has happened to her. No way, we're going to take her out. You're going to be okay. Don't worry about it. Here's your 5,000. And God said, no, she's not going to be touched. She's going to speak of every corrupt abuse and egregious act. And so what benefit did it play? It's not going to play any. Every single person will be called out for taking the money to take me out. So you've just cost your entire career. You've cost your entire family stability. You've cost your entire lineage, because now your lineage is cursed with every single transaction that you did to try and take an innocent healer out that is meant to be a multiverse species experience on the planet to help evolve all species across the multiverse. Do you see divine masculines that are refusing to heal? You are not God. And God will place the most unexpected being, a divine feminine that all of you underestimated. And all of you touted me as absolutely crazy, absolutely having no value, absolutely having no sense whatsoever. And what will that cost you in the end? The same story will be brought back to you. You have to watch and look at your deeds, every dark aspect, every dark deed that you have created, and it will face you. All you had to do was heal your wounds and return the money you stole. Your tactics from here on out will continue to rebound right back to you. Your bribes, your bets, your sacrifices, your spells, your voodoos, your little scheming, falsifying, tormenting tactics, your little trying to delay and derail court cases, all of these things that you do, it's going to come right back to you. Why? Because that is the elegant inertia, and it must be. There will be no more deeds of extinction because that's your transactions. I will not go extinct. Divine feminine will not go extinct. And again, if those were your intentions so that you could play dirty, so that you could play nasty, so that you could play underground pimp daddy, draw it out. How will that serve you? At some point, you're going to pass over into spirit with a very dirty, diseased, nasty dick, maybe some money in the bank, but your mind, your brain, your spirit, and your soul will be very warped, will be very dirty, will be very demonic and entity attached. What does that serve you? You will never enter into a light timeline or a light body or a healthy body. You have cursed your children to dark timelines because you chose to sacrifice and play God and put off a nuclear war and put off nuclear warnings and all of these things that unhealed, divine masculine arrogance idiots do because of their non-healing. All they have to do is heal. And they have cursed their entire lineage because of the arrogance that they hold within themselves to play God over life. Draw it out. What sense does that make? And these are the world leaders? Not one of them talk about clean water for all of their people. Not one of them talk about healing and keeping the beautiful land beautiful. Look at what Putin has done in the destructions and the damages of both and all leaders involved. And where were the monies coming from this? There are financial motives to every war. They tout it as resource and location, but it isn't. It's all about money. It's not about country to country. They're about financial motives, agendas. I'm calling you out. You're not leaders. How dare you? They will be shifted. Just as every person that abuses black magic, that abuses the occult, that tries to interfere and rip people's lives apart because they're feeling insecure and they're dealing with their 7 sins, but they're refusing to look at their 7 sins, which are very easily done and then just reintegrated into something higher. Why not? You could. You could. You can take the negative, the neutral, or the positive route to your path. I'm showing you all aspects of what occurs in each and every one of it. What sense will it make on every choice that you make? Draw it out. Is this a beautiful life choice for me? Or is this a beautiful life choice for me? Can I heal on this? Can I go into my wounding on this and can I make it something new? Can I create something new on this? Absolutely, because I don't want to cost myself and my lineage. Ooh. Who wants to curse their children timelines of darkness because they chose to try and win and get a hit on the divine feminine that just chose to move out of toxic abuse? Because I chose divorce, because I chose a positive environment, because I chose self-love, I get attacked for 10 years? Because I have creative ideas and I'm aligned with source? I've shown everybody from day one of my offerings. I'm aligned with source. I speak and I channel source creator. I speak and I channel wisdoms. I speak and I channel the teachings that is my passion. It's my soul's passion. I am absolutely a soul-infused being. That's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You can't take that out of me. You can't swap it. You can never be something you're not a vibration of. These people that do sacrifices, they're not a vibration to be a conduit. How could they be? They tout hate and sacrificing. They do voodoo and conjure low vibrational deities. You don't have the capacity to be me. You wouldn't be able to carry my destiny, not even for 2 of these little dots. You're not understanding soul blueprints. You have your own soul blueprint. You have your own destiny. You have your own gifts, skills, and talents. Focus, direct, intend on you. Again, draw it out. What do you do to create a reality? You direct, you intend, and you focus. Focus on you. Get out of people's lanes. Stop being nosy. Get out of people's energy. Practicing black magic and practicing it on a daily basis, interfering with people's lives, blocking their platforms, calling yourself God over others, touting and paying people to block and take people out, absolutely will ruin your life. The inertia is coming back to you. Make no sense about it. You know why? Nothing gets by God, source creator, and your guides. Your guides will not stand by you. Your guides won't stand by you. You want to play witch, you want to play warlock, you want to interfere with people's lives when you have no right to, you're going to be put back in that inertia. You're going to face your deeds. So how are you going to face it when you're not protected? You won't be spiritually protected. The higher angelics will not protect you. Your individual religions will not protect you. No, you're a universal being now. How about you follow universal laws? Right use of free will and non-interference and the law of balance. If you're not balanced, you're not aligned. You're not carrying light. Therefore, you cannot carry somebody's destiny that is aligned. Do you see what I mean? Draw it out. It's basic. Basic quantum mechanics. Go do the research. And Putin, before you ever go into an office, Putin, and say what you're going to say on a collective global basis, I challenge Putin. I challenge Putin to book an appointment with me, because what he says on a global collective basis is absolutely, it will weigh on his soul, and he will never escape it. Leaders have to be very, very aware. The inertia is inertia, and it will rebound, and it's coming back to you. None will be missed. And the mother and father, absolutely within a breath, can take over anybody's higher self. Because they don't have a right to play God over any. Wake the fuck up. Ascension will continue. Accelerated light will continue. We will be the integration and the embodiment of our celestial, alien, cosmic, galactic families. We will have first contact. Gaia will return to her bedding. Gaia will return to her galactic family. We will create unification, peace, unity, and oneness. That is Christ consciousness. That is unity consciousness. Because we will be showing our leaders that our souls of the collective, our higher consciousness, we deserve better leaders that are aligned with their higher selves. When you're aligned with your higher selves, you would never, ever, 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 ever take part in what these leaders are doing. Wasting the people's money, wasting the people's time, and wasting within the political rhetoric of political Democrat and Republicans, and going back and forth and bouncing the tennis ball back and forth when nobody wins. So be higher consciousness, dear lighted ones, and how to train your dragon. They are the primordial energies, and there will be an inertia return on every reaction. That's what the rebound of that basketball was showing you. Half of the game is made on that rebound experience. How are you going to make that rebound into anything that you want it to be? Just because you didn't make the basket and it bounced off the board or bounced off the rim, you can still make that into something, and you have to infuse something different into that next shot. Half the game is made on rebounds. That is the inertia. How can you make whatever comes back? How can you make that inertia, whatever comes back? How can you make it into something good? And why we were talking about the artists. Many of these artists that are in the zone absolutely can take their pain and make something beautiful out of it. Beautiful artists take a lot of great tragedies and they make something beautiful in their art. That is being in the zone of their allowance. Their allowance is their divine feminine energies. No, I'm going to allow this pain to transform me. I'm going to create some art in it. That's mastery. So let us talk about the channel that I got from the Galactic Federations. A blessing of a new... Okay, yeah, there's just a couple pages. The blessing of a new life cycle is aching to have you create more unification from all of the bits and pieces throughout your multiverse sojourns. Because remember, we were talking about Orion and what soul fragments were coming from Orion for you to integrate. A lot of that was enslavement and corruption. Other people forcing you into their conformity. It's a lot of conformity. And so I was asking my teams, what about the DNA activation? Because when we're talking about DNA allocations, remember that you have cascading teams. You have oversouls of oversouls. You have your guides. Your guides are other higher aspects of you. Right? Your guides when they have a DNA allocation activate, when they have part of their codon activate, that cascading energy and light ripples down to you. That's why it's really important. We talked about in our last video about it's really important that you give your everybody that you're in that soul tribe with, that environment, your house, your home, your children. You staying on your highest path is how your children get their highest path. So again, the opposite of that on the end of that infinity, the positive is you following your highest path, knowing who you are, right? The 3 A's, the 3 E's, that intention, direction, and focus, you're staying on your highest path. The negative part of that is fear, control, and domination, and staying in toxic cycles of karma. Your children don't receive any benefit by you staying in toxic patterns of karma, i.e. spiritual hits on their mother. How is that benefiting the children? So you can traffic them? How are the children benefiting out of taking the mother out? They don't get the light. The children will go into depression. The children have been cut off from their life force. How is that benefiting anybody? The mother, the divine feminine, especially my role in creation, I am the divine Gaia energy. I am the abundance energy. I am the waters. How does that make sense? How is that a benefit? So you take out one divine feminine, what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything? All of these people will see, all of these people will absolutely eat their own words. They're going to eat their own words. God cannot wait. God cannot wait for the table that is set for me. And all of these idiots that say what they say on the line. And God will show every single one of them. God will show every single one of their ignorant comments. The profundity of who I am. That's why I don't care anymore. These people can be as idiot as they want to be. It doesn't make sense. Again, it makes no sense for the ignorance to be as ignorance. They're going to be shown by Spirit, Source, Creator, and God, and they're going to have to work through 10 times the karma. Every stupid ass comment they make to me, they're going to have to work through the karma. It doesn't make sense. Why even say it? Why even be stupid? Why even be ignorant? Why can't you just sit and allow people to be exactly who they are? Why do you have to come on and be ignorant? Why? Because it makes you feel better in bullying someone. It makes you feel better in being ignorant. It makes you feel better. So again, you're going to have to go back. You're going to have to look at yourself, and you're going to have to go through, as you're laying in bed at night, all of the ignorant, stupidity things that you've done to make yourself look better or higher or different than someone. Meanwhile, it's all about your own lack of self and your own no sense of self and your own no sense of self-love. Because if you loved yourself, if you truly cared about yourself, you would never say harmful, hurtful things to anybody. Why? Because it's you. Again, what sense does it make to go on people's platforms and bully them? Where do you benefit from that? Where do you benefit? At the end of the day, when you're in bed, just you and Spirit and all creation is showing you the energy that you've put out that day. You're going to have to transmute all the stuff that you've done, especially to somebody like me, because I am very important. I am very important in the multiverse. It doesn't matter to me if anybody doesn't know that. God's going to show that to each and every one of you, because each and every one of you are ignorant, and you're just being mean and you're just being bullies. Some of you. So go be mean and go be a bully to somebody else, because you're done on my channel. Get them off. You're going to be kicked off every single word that you put on. You have to face your karma because you chose it. You chose your karma. Everything that you say, all your words, all your actions, all your deeds, your vibration is coming back to you. Your core vibration, is your core vibration love? If you're saying things like that, you're not vibrationally love. There's no love in you if you're saying things like that. I'm not here for your interviewing questions. We're talking about the blessings of a new life. When I was asking my teams about their DNA activations, what happens when their DNA activations, I get that cascading effect on my DNA. Then my DNA gets activated because I've done the density clearing. That's why we do have to go through those systems of the galaxy, if you will, and the various injuries and the various wounds that we're going through. Again, where are you being triggered? Why are you being triggered? Let's work that into your integration. The enslavement issue, the rape issue, the trafficking issue, all of those were things of conformity, domination, and fear and control. Many different systems, many different planets, many different species became extinct because of those dominating experiences. And that's why we have you ask in every moment, is this making sense for me to choose this? Draw it out before you make a very detrimental choice, because you're not going to come back from it. You're not going to come back. You're not going to come into a timeline of light. You're not going to come into a body of light when you're behaving in such abhorrent, ignorant ways. You just won't. You're not going to be cycled into a consciousness body of a 5D life with a 5D body when you haven't done any of the experiences. Okay, so when the DNA gets activated, it is like a spice in the vibrational soup of all that you are. Because when you have that codon that's activated, I was asking about the celestial and alien spice, if you will, the energies. When in my healing and in my work with my teams, I ask for my celestial DNA. I ask for my celestial codes because that's where I'm most comfortable. I'm starting to accept and feel really comfortable in my celestialness. And so I ask them for my celestial codes and stuff. So from here on out, because it's 5D and higher will be your celestial codes. So that's really exciting for me. It's really exciting. Then I was asking my teams, well, what happens when you go through a DNA activation? Because you're obviously Pleiadian. I was like my seventh dimensional version is a Pleiadian, right? So I was asking that guide of mine, when you get a DNA activation, what happens? And they were saying, well, you get that DNA, you get that spark of light that goes to the codon that's next for you, and my codon next will be activated. And so it is a cascading DNA activation between you and your guides and you and your oversoul family. That's why it's really important that you don't ever hold yourself back, that you don't go into stagnant environments, that you get off the karmic cycles, because your DNA is holding up the DNA activations of all those that are above you. That's why it's always important, as I said, that you can do the highest potential for your children by staying in your highest path, right? By following your highest path, because that gives your children the highest light. And so what they were talking about, which I never considered this before, but it makes sense, because we always talk about getting your own sandwich, knowing the sandwich, the minutia of the sandwich, what goes into the sandwich, like the soup, right? What goes into your soup? Because, there's lots of things that go into a soup. And so they were saying that when you have a DNA activation, and it does include celestial, alien, multiverse DNA, like the insectoids, I have a lot of insectoid energy in my DNA, and I always like to see those that I see in my collective with insectoid DNA. I can spot them, and I love insectoid DNA. I love insectoid beings that have a lot of insectoid DNA. And their physical attributes also correlate with their insectoid DNA, I've found. So they said it's like a spice. When your codon gets activated, it's like a spice within the allness, the all soup of you. So that when I'm walking around after that codon has been activated, that celestial codon, we'll say Andromedan and insectoid, right? That codon held a lot of Andromedan and insectoid energy. That Andromedan insectoid spice is now in my all, so that, and this is my teams know on the higher parts of me, my teams, because I asked them that as well. My oversoul, my soul, my higher self, and my guides, they know what's next for me on my path of learning, my path of lessons to be integrated, and who and how I'm going to be in the collective, so that those codons, when they're activated, I have the codes in my field, so that when I'm presented in front of public, they also get that spice. And that helps them in their activations. So that's also good to know as well. And again, it is, if we can understand how profound your soul blueprint is and your DNA, as we said in our last video, your DNA is like a kaleidoscope. Your DNA is, again, your teams know what you're stepping into next as far as your next set of mission energies. Again, your lessons, your triumphs, using your new gifts and skills, practicing your new gifts and skills, practicing your higher consciousness of aptitude and capacity. Your teams know what you're walking into. So the source creator and you doing your daily pathwork, you doing your ascension pathwork, helps that light integration, the ingathering of light, activate that DNA. So that you're now carrying that spice in your field. That's why people, when you're on your path of ascension, people will sense your field has changed. They're like, wow, you just feel different. Your energy is different. Because you've activated the spice of the DNA, of what that DNA held. And then your teams, they're showing me, your teams then Your teams are then set, if you're doing your nighttime healing energies, your teams then help massage those codes into your field so that you're becoming more familiar with it as well. Right? So that's kind of cool. So that's a good way to see the DNA, because and they were showing me that when you have that spice activated is like a magnetic. So that magnetic will pull those certain people to you as well on your ascension path, which is also good to know. It's good for me because it has been so karmically tumultuous, and it's like the cords are being cut and people are being shifted out because there's just no magnetic match anymore. They've been given a lot of opportunities and grace to heal and change, and they chose not to. So there'll be other light workers that will take up that post, and I'm going to be moving on because my DNA and my consciousness is activated to a point where I'm meant to be in front of more people, and that will act as the magneter, that magnetic spice that will call those clients in that are of higher vibrational aptitudes, that want to learn, that want to heal, that want to be a part of 5D Earth. God knows, again, it's God knows what God's doing. God knows who's ready for a 5D activation. God knows who's ready for a DNA activation. God knows who to put where, when, and how. All you have to do is heed Spirit's call. If Spirit says move here, go there, then you're going here and you're going there, so that God can have you in front of those where they can get the activation of that Christ consciousness or that spice that has just been activated from your DNA. So again, Source knows what Source is doing. It's just up to us to heed the call and listen. And if we're not listening because we're disconnected, if we're not listening because we have no relationship with Spirit, if we're not listening because they're low vibrational 3D leaders and teachers that have had no guidance at all, they've been misguided, they're working from low vibrational cults, covens, and warped Masonic groups, they're working from things that are not universal laws, they're working from things that are not unity consciousness, and therefore that's then, again, they're going to have to face their own inertia. That's the only way for them to learn their karma. Thank you to all of my beautiful clients that are helping in the chat room. So Ashtar said, this is Ashtar's channeling. We talked about how to train your dragon. We talked about the kind of the story about shooting hoops in the inertia there, that divine masculines and divine feminines can work with the divine feminine masculine energy and the quantum elegance that is shooting hoops, right? So here's Commander Ashtar's notes, and then we'll go into the light councils. Ashtar, we deal directly with your guides, and then we establish the help and the support that you'll need for the highest outcome. Because remember, when Commander Ashtar and the Celestials are working with you, through your guides, Commander Ashtar, because I was asking Commander Ashtar, there's like millions that he deals with, right? He's the commander of the Ashtar Command. It's massive. I mean, the ships are just, you can't count the number of ships. So he's saying, yes, he does know. It's my job to know. Wow. How do you hold all that, Commander? He says, I have an aptitude. He says, it's not as hard as you think, Joanna. Well, I mean, it's just massive. It's just like, how do you count all the people on planet Earth? Oh, so they're just showing me, it's just like the touch points. So his federation is like the touch points to the various tribes and councils, because it's like planet Earth. There might be 8 billion people here on Earth, right? But each tribe has its own touch point leader that will come forward and speak for the tribe. But I mean, still, I mean, how the fuck do you know? I just know. I love Commander Ashtar. He's one of my most favorite beings in the universe. He's like my brother. He's my big brother. He always looks out for me. Thank you, Commander Ashtar. I love you. He's got like legions always surrounding me, anybody that tries to touch me. He says, that's my role. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Holy Spirit, Mother and Father. I love them all so much. I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful for my beautiful Celestials. So beautiful. So this is Commander Ashtar. This is what he said. So I asked Commander Ashtar again that question about how do you know all these, and how do you know what's going on in my blueprint to know what's going on next? He deals very specifically with certain ones of us, because we are directly, again, the ambassadors for the systems of light. Commander Ashtar is the systems of light. They're on behalf of all systems light evolution. That's what Ashtar Command supports. Commander Ashtar supports the evolutionary light programs for all advancements of evolution within the galaxy. And they do work with multiverse beings. Commander Ashtar knows of my experience and my expertise throughout different bodies of energy. And so they have offered extra support and protection for me because it is of importance of the evolutionary series. So then I asked Commander Ashtar, well, how and why do you know all this, right? Like when I'm going through a DNA activation, how would you know me? Like, oh, there's 8 billion people on the planet, plus your Ashtar commando throughout the whole galaxy. Because there's other planets that are moving through Ascension. There's other planets that are moving from a red flag into a progressive evolutionary series now, right? So humanity is moving its way from red flag into a progressive ascension experience. So Commander Ashtar said that we deal specifically through your guides, and we establish with the guides and your higher self what help is needed, what support is needed for the highest outcome for everybody involved. Because again, I am not only in Earth, working for Earth, light systems evolution, for Gaia, for the systems of light, in correlation to humanity. They are my Trinity package, if you will, but I'm here supporting the systems of light, Mother, Father, God, for all of the multiverse. So the systems of light, we are so glad that my soul feels so happy in channeling the various aspects of spice. So that's the celestial energy. My part of my highest excitement is the channeling of all the multiverse beings and the species, because that's part of me. It's who I am. I'm accepting that celestial part of me. And so that is a beautiful part that I get to channel all of the diverse multiverse species to help activate any human on Earth that is in the intention, direction, and focus of becoming their highest universal self. I play that role as an empower, inspirator, and influencer to assist in the reunification of the soul self, the multiversal self. So that's the part that I play as an ambassador on behalf of the Galactic Federations and all of the species across the universe, because all species are going through evolution. Opening up to what is already around you, because the energies that are already around you for each and every one of you for tonight, and if you're out in nature and if you're just sitting in quiet silence and meditation, just open up to the energies that are already around you through intention and just softening for the divine feminine energies to allow. You can feel into the cosmic celestial energies that are always around you. Because I was asking Commander Ashtar, how can you give me some more celestial and alien energies? And so he said to me, well, just open up to what's already there, because we've already deposited them in your field. Because I was dealing with the Arcturians too, and they just said, oh, we put some in your field, open up. So I'm like, okay. I'm just like a little kid, okay, what's next? Well, you've just come out of Sector 7. Oh, okay. Sustaining and maintaining your light body is going to be the next. So they were saying to me as guides, most of their role and most of their journey is to teach us, which is my role too as an ambassador and as a teacher, a multiverse teacher, is to help teach you how to look after, sustain, and maintain your light body. So how to clear your fields, how to understand entity attachment, how to understand the infinity when you're going through your life minutia and when you're working on your ascension path. Every choice that you make, draw it out before you make that important life choice. How will it serve the greater good? Always go back to the universal laws. Are you interfering with anybody's path? Are you creating balance? Or are you disturbing and interfering? Because if you're disturbing and interfering, you're going to have to clear your dark karma. That inertia is going to come back to you. It always does. That's just the rebound of the intelligent design that is the omnipresent. It's got to come back and face you. You then have to look at your beliefs. Why did I do that? What part of the 7 lower vibrational psyche traumas, 7 sins, what part of that was I interacting with? Was it abandonment? Was it rejection? What were those aspects that I was refusing to look at? So they said part of your guide's biggest role is to help you with maintaining and sustaining a higher light quotient. Because remember, if you're a higher light quotient, you can have greater integration and greater aptitude of higher consciousness topics, which is what we bring on to every one of our videos so that we get you used to thinking higher conscious. We don't want you to keep thinking about the 3D pillars and the old systems and the old ways, because those are low vibrating experiences of consciousness, right? You don't want to keep cycling those low vibrational 3D experiences. We want you to be higher consciousness. So when we're talking about the capacity for DNA, allowing you to think of different ways how to train your dragon, and then bringing those downloads that you've been downloaded and deposited by your teams and guides. This is how I always suggest doing your own path work, right? Because your teams are waiting for you to start working with them. How do you receive information? How are you interpreting light? How are you processing light? And then again, remember what we said earlier, when you're cognizing something really profound, when you're cognizing it, that means it's gone into your system now. You absolutely have learned it. You've processed that download. And that is the same as integration and processing. Because remember, I was saying the past 6 years, I was just constantly transmuting and processing the darkness, transmuting, processing. But now I'm actually cognizing the higher perspective because I've had time to integrate it all. I've had time to look at it from the highest perspective with the light councils, with the galactic federations, with all my higher teams. And they're showing me the higher lessons of why I had to go through that. Because it actually has to do with our multiverse species, some of those species going into very devastating planetary destruction. So I've had time to cognize. It's like, oh yeah, I get the lesson now. That's when it clicks. That's when that alchemy clicks. It becomes your kaleidoscope. Thank you, sweethearts, in the chat. Yeah, you can give them 1 or 2 warnings, and then you know if their first comment is just derogatory. Just on the first comment, just release them. I don't mind the compliment. The compliments are okay if it's from a purity of heart. If it's just from a stupid ass statement because you're wanting to just keep antagonizing. Again, everybody knows, read the energy. So they were saying, creating your own light. So again, your teams and your guides are specifically, most of their role is to help you sustain and maintain your light, how to work with your new light body, how to understand your ascension path work, how to understand when you're moving through a release, when you're moving through an integration and processing. Again, I've given you many examples of the past 6 years. I went on a huge dark detour. I could have been ascended a while ago, but I chose to go on that dark detour because I know now that it was part of a species integration for the reptilian. Reintegration for the species, and of course my love and my overriding commitment is the systems of light for all species. So that overrides my own personal wish that I wish that dark timeline was over. No, I'm here for the species, so I'm going to be moving through it, right? So again, that's when you're working with unity consciousness, you don't have when you're working in unity consciousness, you know that there's overriding contracts. And then you sit back in your divine feminine energy, and you're just allowing those more challenging, difficult experiences like loss, enslavement, all of those things that humanity will have to heal through the underground and through all the things that have been done. We are all going to be a part of the healing. It's not going to be left to 1 or 2 light workers. Thank you, Cluedo. And so they're saying this is where they were saying the Orion constellation, Rigel and Betelgeuse, there were the 2 supergiant stars within their system that went through a planetary devastation. They showed me a glimpse, and it was devastating. And it was within the Rigel and the Betelgeuse in the Orion system. And it was part of the reptilian domination, control and domination, which was mirrored in part of the Atlantis downfall. Again, these are just the spiraling timelines of now, as we said in our last video. Time is just experience and dimensional vibration working itself out. So that's why you're going to have to go through spirals of experience where the stories are going to keep facing you until you've healed that agenda. You've healed the enslavement agenda. You say, no, I don't need the enslavement anymore. So when I teach you in the Ascension Pathwork, I teach you how to alchemize those deep, really deep traumas. Enslavement, all of those people that have been in the underground that choose to go through Ascension, we're going to have to show them how to alchemize those enslavement and why I went through what I did. It's heavy. And when you clear it, holy cow, that's why they told me in my last video that I didn't get, now I get. See, sometimes I don't get what they say until after the fact, because again, I'm cognizing it. When they said that when you cleared that enslavement story, you cleared up a whole timeline of all of those Orion devastations that my lineage was included in. My lineage got wiped out. The whole planet got wiped out. And again, so I say to the leaders on the planet that play God and the people that play in black magic and sacrificing in voodoo, who the hell are you? What bonus does it make when you wipe everybody out in your entire family, and your entire family is going to wear that lineage? Your entire family's got to wear that curse. Any body they come into next, they're going to be a part of that curse because you chose a very selfish act when you could have just healed. So again, it goes similarly to Putin and whatever he touts, and any other leader that touts anything over anybody. YouTube touting who can be heard and who cannot be heard. Who are you? You're just holding back tens of thousands of people that could be getting profound light wisdoms and activations within their multiversal DNA, and you're holding that back from them. Who the hell are you? Who the hell are you to hold back anybody on their evolution? And therefore God will step in, the federations will step in, people like myself will step in and say, no, I have my rights, I have my universal rights, and my universal clout trumps everybody. Because that is my compass, that is my jurisdiction. And take it up with God if that doesn't make you happy. Heal your wounds, right? I'm not here to satisfy your little wounded stories about being a misogynistic leader when you have none of your own wounding healed. You're not even willing to look at your wounds. So most of your teams, most of your guides' work goes into, again, helping you sustain and maintain your light, helping you to understand your light body, helping you understand your triggers and your wounds. Sustaining and maintaining your light is how and what is most of our greatest offering that your guides will play in this next section of your experience. And we're hoping in time, this is what they said, we're hoping in time when you actually get to 5D, you will be fully aware, fully activated in how to maintain and sustain your own light body so that you can then teach future generations. And then again, bit by bit, cycle after cycle of time, if you will. We're calling time now cycle. All right, we're releasing the word and the verbiages of time because it holds a lot of patterning of limitation. So every new cycle, we're releasing all of those old constructs and all the pillars so that we can move into more of ambassadors in the roles that galactic federations and the celestial teams and beings are playing for us, which is they're helping us guide bit by bit by bit by bit into an evolutionary status. So we are, the teachers, healers, and light workers are now those evolutionary status guideposts, touch points, so that the galactic federations can get on with moving around the galaxy to do other things, right? They don't want to babysit humanity. When we have we have all the tools, we have all the skills, we have all the teaching, we have all the masters on this planet. The federations and Mother, Father, God shouldn't have to step in because people refuse to heal and they just want to play arrogant pimp daddies over people. Well, who the hell is anybody? Mother, Father should never have to step in to our playground. So for them to step in, it must have been pretty bad. These people refuse to take heed from universal spiritual laws of the highest spiritual court. I can't even imagine as a light worker, as a soul, as being awake. I can't imagine going against God that many times. For Mother and Father to step in. So the Mother and Father are saying, if we have to, we will. The Father's plan for ascension for all of the galaxy is moving forward. And there's no arrogant, ignorant group that refuses to heal and look at itself. It will not be held back by one arrogant group or one or two leaders that want to play, bully in the playground. So that was Mother and Father saying that. Thank you, Holy Mother, Father. And I say to Mother, my own private experiences with Mother, Father, I tell Mother, Father, I say, I'm so sorry that you had to get involved. What could I have done? And they said, no, we're here. We are your legions and we're walking with you step by step. Because I'm not meant to do this on my own. But I've done it on my own. Nobody's made me. That's why Mother, Father made it very clear for those beings that Mother, Father knew, because Mother, Father are within each and every one of them. Mother, Father knew which one of those people that would try and come forward and slither in at the last minute and say they were a part of whatever blessings that come to me, because I'm meant to receive. I haven't received anything since. My whole 50 years of being here, I haven't received anything from anybody. With the exception of having to fight tooth and nail for whatever bare minimum I did get with my divorce, which I had to pay $60,000, so it was like I came away with nothing anyways. Still in the hole for that whole divorce thing. But at least I'm divorced now. Thank God for that. I am bound to none and nobody. And nobody can take credit for anything that I am, that I've created. Everything that I've created, all of my healing tools, my workbooks, my books, and all the things that I've created is purely me and God. Nobody can own an ounce of that. And anything that has been done and taken prior to this, the pilfering, the veiling of my videos, the taking of doppelganger experiences and pretending they're me and they're not, trying to swap destinies when they have no clue, they don't understand anything about a soul blueprint. If God was even to open up to any one of those that say they want to swap destiny, if God was to even open up my soul's destiny to them for a half a day, they would go into psychosis. They would not be able to hold a fifth dimensional consciousness. It doesn't make sense. Draw it out. How can you hold somebody's destiny when you're not? It's like taking a kindergartner and putting them in a mastery test. You know, if you're going through a master's degree, if you're putting a kindergartner in a master's degree test, you couldn't hold the consciousness. You couldn't understand the minutia of all the dark timelines and all of the alchemy I've done. That's why you have to go through the sandwich. These people have done no sandwich. They don't get it. They just want the title. They want the status because they have no sense of self. They think by taking somebody else's sense of self, it will make them feel whole. It wouldn't. Even if the worst case scenario, even if they would have killed me, even if they would have taken on my destiny, which they wouldn't be able to hold, they would have gone into psychosis. They would have gone crazy. Even if God allowed everything to play out, just to show them how demonstrous and how negative and how extinctive their choices would have been, we'll play it out. If they did take my life, if they did take my destiny, they would have gone into extinction anyways. They would have gone into psychotic break. They wouldn't have been able to hold my consciousness for a day. The divine feminine would have been lifted from the planet and it would have gone into extinction. And God said, if we're going to step in, we're going to step in. And so they take the status for a day or two, and then what? They realize that that's not their soul's blueprint. Their soul's blueprint is to be something totally different. Maybe their soul's blueprint is to be the world's best baker and be very happy and be in the world's best baker. Everybody has a unique soul's blueprint. Why are you trying to force your way into something else because you're projecting another person's story as your own? It's not your story. Go within, find your own story. Go within, find your own experience. Because when you do all of these black magic things and these voodoo things and trying to take something that's not yours, you can't hold it. Why? Because it's not meant for you. It's not your vibration. You don't have any experience whatsoever. So if you don't have any experience on any of these 800 timelines that I've practiced and trained and I've earned everything that I'm going to be receiving, everything. I've earned it. So if you have no experience in any of these timelines, then how are you going to absolutely process anything before you? You don't have any of those. None of these lifetimes are yours. So how are you going to process the minutia of it? How are you going to process anything that unfolds to you? How are you going to say, when the guides and your spirits give you a download, how to train your dragon, how are you going to know what that means? How are you going to unpack that download? How are you going to unpack a download from the 8th dimensional Arcturians? How are you going to unpack an 8th dimensional download? So these people that say they want destiny, these people that say they want to be the highest paid talent person on stage, these rich, false elites that pay people, pay witches, pay voodooists to take people's talent so that they can be the best at something, they have no idea. They will never be longevity in whatever they're taking from anybody because it's not their soul's contract. And God will take it from them as quickly as they sacrificed it from somebody else. And they're having to work through the karma of taking another person's life and light. And those are the highest spiritual laws you don't want to cross. And again, why did Mother and Father God have to come in and step in between bullies that were assured they were going to take my destiny when they wouldn't have been able to hold it anyways? It would have worked into extinction, extinction, extinction on every part if their wishes and their intentions to take me out would have gone through. And it didn't. 27 sacrifices later, and I'm still here. Still trying to attack my chakras. And what good does that do? It gets you into more dark karma you have to work through because you're not feeling good about yourself. So why don't you get off my platform, go sit in your house and go sit outside and focus on self-love. Because it's going to come back to the same answer every time. You're always going to be brought back to center. Who are you? Stop focusing on other people. Who are you? Go heal yourself. Who are you? God will show you, each and every one of you, every single person that tried to take me out and take money for taking me out, take money for fucking up my life. God will show each and every one of you. And you will sit there as I am lifted. And I am given your gifts, I am given your talents, and I am given whatever energies that have been taken from you until you learn your soul lessons, because it will be turned off and it will be taken from you until you get the soul lessons. You will not interfere with other people's lives by black magic, by voodoos, by your so-called gifts and skills and talents, when all you're doing is taking it from others for you to gain. That's not why you have those gifts. You have those gifts to teach and heal and offer it to others for the greater good. And if you don't get unity consciousness, if you don't want to be a part of unity consciousness, you will be shifted out. Again, it is the inertia. What you put out is returning very quickly, and none will be missed. We are not going down the extinction path. Oh, ignorant ones that refuse to heal. Look at your wounds. I'm not your issue. Divine feminine, masculine energies must be looked at. Mintaka journeyed to the Pleiades. So Mintaka is also in the Orion constellation, Mintaka. A lot of the beings from Mintaka traveled to the Pleiades after the devastation that had occurred through their planetary obliteration, is what I saw. It was a whole planet that was obliterated through their various similar ignorances that we see on this planet. Just fear, control, Epstein-like journeys, Epstein-like agendas, control, domination, trying to take from people when they have no right, trying to play God when they have no right, just ignorance, really low vibrational, misguided, totally disconnected from their spirit, totally disconnected from their higher self, disconnected from source. And again, why they refuse to heed source's grace for 2 years to return to source and get healed. So Mintaka, a lot of the beings from that star system then journeyed to the Pleiades. Now they hold Pleiadian vibrations. After the Orion Wars, they were left without any homes. So they then journeyed to the Pleiades and they took up home in the Pleiades. They were then integrated into the Pleiades for reintegration into the star systems. So many of the Orions had kind of like moved house, if you will. That also occurred Jose Parales, that's part of the energies with my ex. Just knock them out. They're just coming in to aggravate me because that's how low vibrational they are. They seek to attack and to hurt. That's where their vibration is. So the Mintaka are moved to the Pleiades. Many of them became unified with the Pleiadian families, and then they reintegrated and started new tribes and cultures with the Pleiadians, and they began to reintegrate through their ascension. You are... okay. So that was cool to know about the DNA. You offer a DNA magnetic. When your DNA gets activated, you offer a magnetic in your field that is like a spice, so that you attract those that need that activation. So that's why God will just have you meet people out of nowhere and you meet people out of nowhere, because you need that activation within one another's fields and chakra systems. The Orion, they are the grandfather in much of the help, because of what had occurred in Orion, of the planetary devastation. They then, after that, we're not going to talk about time because, again, it's superfluous. This was a long, long time ago. Because of what had happened and their role in the devastation, because to clear their karma, they chose to be the grandfather of assisting, rehabilitating, and reintegrating higher wisdoms to learn and heal about the how to train your dragon, domination, the reptilian, primordial, winner takes all type of energy, controlling domination. They were the grandfathers to say, we caused this very devastating death. We don't want to wear this on the soul of our planet. How can we be a part of the systems of light, galactic federations, in introducing evolutionary support? So that's where the Orions sit now. Orions sit as the grandfathers to assist in all planets that are going through similar vibrational stories through domination, control, and what we've seen with the underground trafficking and many of the leaders on this planet that have become corrupt. They are now playing the grandfathers to assist in helping us understand these planetary soul stories for evolutionary reintegration, because it's part of their clearing of their karma that was a planetary devastation. That's why many of us wear those planetary stories in our soul's record, and why we are so affected by similar things that occur on our planet. That's why we get involved. There's some red flags that I see here. Are we going to do something here? Because it is a resonance in the planetary systems from Orions, from Maldek. So that's why we do have the multiversal DNA. It's to wake us up here and create something better here. So they are the grandfathers assisting, for they have acknowledged the part that they played in their planetary devastation, where and what were those core wounds. They are offering rehabilitation for the lands. They're offering rehabilitation for the DNA species, for the evolutionary light programs. They are reintroducing the interplay of light and eons of consciousness through all of their existence. So they're playing a very big part in rebalancing the karma and the damages that they did. And that's being a conscious co-creator. Yeah, we fucked up. Let's see how we can make this right. That's how you clear karma. That is from the Orion constellation, which is a massive constellation. You can't even imagine how big the Orion constellation is. But they're taking a very big part in all of our galaxies' rehabilitation for unification, higher consciousness. They don't ever want to see another planet. They saw the damages done and how it affects all soul timelines. You don't get away with just taking somebody's life. It sits on your soul. This is where you have to be very consciously aware of why anybody and why any person would want to put them in a cult or a group, call it secret society, whatever you want to call it. Anybody that talks about touching another person's life, you have to be very aware of your karma repercussions. And especially if you're doing it to a chosen one, to somebody that's affecting the entire multiverse, like who the hell are you? You're going to be affected for infinite timelines, and you're affecting your children to it. So the very profound role that Orion played in that part of the galaxy, they're coming forward still today as the grandfathers of reintegrating higher vibrational programs. It doesn't ever leave you. That's unity consciousness. No, we have to play a part of what we've damaged. And what divine masculine and what divine leader is playing that role? None of them are stepping up. So this is where divine feminine really has to sit within the divine feminine role and really keep offering that divine feminine energy of love and compassion and healing, so that the divine masculines have to look at who they are. If we're matching ourselves in divine masculine to divine masculine, that's not healing the adaptation for divine feminine, and the divine masculines will not look at their wounds. Because divine feminines have had to do that to adapt. We're not doing it anymore. I will not match stupidity. I will rise to my intelligent, emotional experience, and I will be the highest vibrational being I can be as divine feminine. I don't have to match your ignorant, distorted divine masculine energy by staying in my divine masculine energy and therefore misadapting my evolution. I'm not meant to be in my masculine energy 98% of my time, right? It's then de-evolving me because I'm divine feminine. Celestial bodies, so this is the Star Council. Celestial bodies took on, so celestial bodies, they were talking celestial bodies as planets. So the Pleiades took on many celestial misfits, if you will. Those that didn't fit in, those were strays from planets that had been destroyed, from species that had been destroyed. That's the similar story for the felines that were AI produced as slaves who grew a consciousness after time, like as time goes on. They had to go through much healing and much integration, from every harsh condition to commanding conditions, and healing their communities in the deprivations from control, domination, and, similar to our underground slaveries. So there's many of those strays, they called them strays, because they didn't have a place to go. Their planets were taken. And they ended up integrating themselves into other planets, like the Pleiades and Lyra. Some of them went to Lyra. So again, Orion is playing part of the grandfather to rehabilitate many of the species in the lands. They've taken that on as part of their soul's contract to help all planets rehabilitate land from loss and damages. Orion will be playing a part for any of the ridiculous leaders that create war and demolish parts of Gaia and take the life with it. They're wearing it on their soul. I don't know how any world leader can wake up in the morning and know that they've just knocked out a village and killed 36 children and not think twice about it, and then come out the next week with a statement about talking nuclear war. I don't know how any person in any frame of reference of being any aspect of life, they've been blessed a life, they've been blessed a leadership role, and how many lives have been affected by the lack of unity resolve in the Ukraine and Russia. There's motives and agendas behind it. But I'm asking you, irregardless, how does a person wake up in the morning and know that 36 children are here today and not tomorrow because you chose to land a bomb on a school? What does that make you, Putin, and your military people? What does that make you? When you go to bed at night and you talk to your children and your grandchildren, your children of grandchildren, what does that make you in that story? You're the one that killed a whole bunch of people that never had a chance at their soul's destiny? Does that make you important? Does that make you a big man? Does that make you an important man? Does that make you gaining something? What does that make you? I want Putin to go to bed tonight, and I want Putin to think about the thousands of people that have been affected by his choices, and the rippling effect of every thousands of those people and their thousands of people and their thousands of people, of all the timelines, of all the planets, of all the soul contracts, of all the soul lineages that he's just obliterated. And how dare he wake up and have such comments? And when will the people stand up and speak? It is 100% blatant ignorance to all sacredness of all creation. How dare anybody call themselves a leader? And this is no different to those that allow the underground, the trafficking, the enslavement of children, the black web, and the grossest of grossest things that occur to sacred life. They have no fucking right. I'm calling each and every one of you out. You will face your dirty deeds, and you will face every soul that ever landed that you said you had a part in playing to take them out. You had no right. You have no idea how precious that soul was. You took them out with even a breath. And how much do you want to bet? Just take a little ponder with me down the creational story path. How much would you like to bet that Putin, and all of his egregious acts, calling himself a leader and all, and the billions of dollars that he's spent on nuclear and weaponry, go look at how much Russia has spent on military equipment. Go look that up, do your research. And oh, Putin, as you sit in bed at night, did you ever think to go to any one of those parents of the children that will never be seen again, that will never be heard from again, that their dreams were just taken up within a breath of your bombing? Did Putin ever go to these families and these people? Did he actually speak to any of the children? Parents. Did he speak to the parents? Does he ever know what a divine feminine, what she goes through in an average day? Does Putin know what a divine feminine goes through in an average day? Or does he ever come out of his castle? Does he go to the people and see how the average woman in Russia lives? Does he go to any one of the schools that he bombed in Ukraine? Does he go and see how the average family in the Ukraine lives? Does Putin do that? I'm asking Putin because you and your little consorts, you watch my videos. Because you're trying to get your vibrational ins, your psychic ins without even booking an appointment. You cheap person. No, you don't connect with the divine feminine. You don't connect with the losses that you've incurred. And it means nothing to you. And you will be shifted out. Because you don't have any right to take another ounce. You don't have a right to take another life. Because you are not right. You will be shifted. There's no intelligence in you whatsoever. There is ignorance, there is arrogance, and there's a lot of misogyny. You don't care. You don't care about the children you affect and their futures that you've just wiped out. You don't care about the women that have lost everything that meant something to them, that they will never get back. You don't have any clue about unity consciousness. You are so disconnected from everything sacred. And you will never come back as a leader. You're not a leader now. Any and all leaders on this planet, if you choose to be a leader, your first priority is unity consciousness and higher universal laws. If you're not practicing it in your daily minutiae of who you are, what you belong to, and what is going on within you, you will never be a leader, and you will be taken out and you will be shifted. That is just the truth. The inertia, the quantum physics, will return to you exactly every action. And Putin will have to wear every life that he has taken. He will have to face that. He will face every one of his dirty deeds. Every leader, every person that pays into the black web, every person that has ever touched or been a part of financing children to be trafficked, enslaved for sex. The lying, the human testing, the human targeting, every person will be shown their deeds, and they will feel the deeds, and they will feel the unity consciousness. You will not move in any way until you get these lessons. You will be stopped. Your finances will be blocked. Your moves will be blocked. You will not go forward. You will not advance in the ignorance of where people sit. You must awaken. There was a shifting of the train tracks. There is Epstein Earth and there is New Earth. Discern through your core vibration which earth you will be on. There's no longer transactions of ignorance. And those that watch abuse and do nothing, and those that pay to be a part of abuse and do nothing, you're as guilty, and you will be guilty as charged. You've taken money to hurt somebody. You've taken money to derail somebody. You've taken money to interfere with somebody. You've taken money to assure that a light worker does not touch or see any of the people that she was meant to heal 10 years ago. You played a part in that. You have to face that. And you have to make it right, just as the Orions are making it right through their planetary devastation. We are not going to get around unity consciousness. This is our core lesson. And it will play out in every corner. It has to. And as Mother and Father said, if they have to step in, they will step in. This is not a lesson we will miss. None will get into 5D. None will advance. None will evolve until we get this soul lesson. Unity consciousness is our soul's lesson. You are one with the all, and the all is one with you. You hurt another person, you hurt yourself. What sense does it make to ever try and sacrifice and take somebody out? And I will say these things 1 billion times in one video, and then tomorrow morning there'll be another set of spells and voodoos that I have to transmute out of my field because they were up all night trying to take me out through their death spells. And sometimes the only way they'll get it is when they pass, through the return of all their black magic that they've been doing on me for 10 years, because they don't get it. They don't care about who they hurt. They're so distorted and they're so wounded. And as Mother Mary said, it's not my responsibility to transition any of these people into higher consciousness. It is my responsibility to get them off my chat line when they're ignorant. Let Spirit, Mother, Father, God, be the higher selves of those that continually affect you. If you're being affected in every day by those that constantly hold you back in karmic patterns and karmic stories, when you've said no legally, you've said no spiritually, you've said no physically, you absolutely call for Mother Father's help and you release these energies and karmic energies from your soul story. They don't have a right to keep harassing you. They don't have a right to keep coming into your life when you've said no 8 million times. Everybody from my past, everybody from Calgary, everybody from that cult, you will be stopped, you will be blocked, you will not return to my life. Don't bring me an offer, I don't want it. 2 years too late. Your apologies don't mean anything. You had 2 years. Spirit gave you so much grace. If you have monies to return to me from everything that you stole, it has to go through the lawyer. You're not going to come and talk to me personally. You won't find me, you'll be blocked, you'll be stopped. I will not accept your offers. We're not friends, we're not buddies, we're not pals. There will be no interaction with me. There's no recycling. You're never going to come back into my life. Ever. Ever, 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 ever. Go heal. Everybody from Calgary, go and heal. And I will press charges for the distress, the trauma, the PTSD, the losses, the damages that I've had to face because you chose not to heal. I will press charges on everybody involved. Government, judge, real estate agent, insurance agent, business, bank, policing company, policing of the city. I'll sue everybody. You had no right to fuck with my life because you chose to believe a distorted masculine's lies, pathological lies, over a divine feminine psychic healer of the heavens. So my story was important on many, many reasons and many dimensions. Why? Because now we're going to create laws that will protect those. Covert occult abuse is very real. We don't have to wait till people die left, right, and center. We can protect people before the deaths occur, and we can start educating and we can start informing people how to care for their body, how to claim their consciousness, how to claim their light, and how to discern and understand when covert occult abuse occurs, because nobody has the fucking right. Go play witch with somebody else, and if you interfere with somebody else, you absolutely know your life will absolutely be restricted, because you don't have a right to play God on anybody. I don't give a crap how long your family's been practicing voodoo. I don't give a fuck. You're not God. Go practice your magic on your own self, because you will be having your return karma. Grow up, follow the universal laws, and if you choose not to, you'll be shifted out to Epstein Earth, where everybody can start attacking everybody, and everybody can play in everybody's underground sex trafficking, and they can be exactly corrupt as all they want. All you have to do is just accept your path to Epstein Earth. And you can go and attack each other and have your own sex slaves, and you cannot deal with your issues. You cannot deal with your sexual suppressions. You cannot deal with your immaturity. You cannot deal with your no sense of self. You cannot deal with your insecurities. You can be shifted out to Epstein Earth. Because light workers aren't going to be battling with you tit for tat anymore. Mother, father are stepping in. You're going to be shifted. They realize the great planetary loss, forcing personal to singular agendas, which is kind of like the Epstein agenda, right? They're forcing their personal agendas on innocent people, the underground trafficking. When somebody says no, it means fucking no. Back off and move on. Get out of my lane. If you want to practice being dark, go be dark. But don't bring other people and force other people into your story. When somebody says no, it means no. Human rights. They realized that in the great planetary loss of forcing personal and singular agendas, that there was great loss. They realized that there was never the worth of the price of the collective in their choices. So again, when they see it from the higher perspective, when they cross over into spirit, nothing that they ever thought was their personal agenda, none of it was worth it, because they have to wear that on their soul now. They destroyed an entire planet. Was that worth it? Just because you wanted to play Mr. Putin popular energy that wanted to do whatever Putin wanted to do, was it worth it? When Putin crosses over into spirit, he will see, absolutely the first time, that he will see unequivocally none of what he did was worth it. Because he will see the damages that he has done to every single soul he touched. Because the spirit doesn't miss any of those lessons. Just because your human is ignorant and your human is disconnected from your spirit in physical reality, when you get into spirit, when you cross over, your spirit and your soul and your spirit guides will make sure that you're absolutely going to see everything you affected. You will never escape your karma, ever. As soon as you cross over, you will face every deed that you have done. So they realized again in the planetary loss, by forcing their personal and singular agendas, that the loss was never ever worth the price of their collective. Now they're taking part in the healing in every way, whether it's reintroduction of unity, compassion, inclusivity for the light, that will absolutely meet the DNA activations that go along with their healing and their integration of unity consciousness. Because as you integrate unity consciousness, your DNA activates. And this will advance their system. This will advance their species. So that's the part that they're now playing through the karmic stories that they've had to face. And it takes a lot to heal from that, because we're still feeling it now. Those of us on Earth, you don't remember your Orion lifetimes, but those of us on Earth, we've just healed a huge timeline chunk of Orion devastation. That's why the energies have been very intense. Systems of light work with all species, and we keep ourselves apprised of all the growth that is unfolding in all sectors of space. Because again, they're a part of us, they're a part of our our family. They can sense when things are going in positive, loving directions. They keep a part of, you know, what's going on in that sector of space. Is it a red flag? You know, where's that species going? Does mother and father have to step into these, you know, the councils of light have to step in? And again, there's various hierarchies, right? Mother, father, God will say, Ashtar, go step in. The species of light, go step in. This time, mother and father stepped in. And that's where I felt bad, you know, because it was they stepped in on my behalf, you know, and I'm like, sorry, mother, father, I'm taking you away from your universal co-creation. I felt bad for those people that were just ignorant, continually attacking me. But mother, father said, no, this is your destiny. It just makes no sense. I'm hoping that these lessons of drawing it out, that people absolutely get triggered when they're absolutely drawing it out. Does it make sense to do what you're doing when you draw it out and you will see the damage and the karma and the curses on your lineage, that you will never walk in a light timeline? Does it absolutely make sense to you to do what you're doing? Then you have to, if you choose to go forward and do something like that, you absolutely have to go and get yourself psychologically tested, and you have to get yourself assessed, because there has been so much damage with black magic, with conjuring, that you've lost all sight of a normal, sensible mind. Because anybody that says anything to do about taking somebody out as a logical approach, they're absolutely not connected, they're not stable, and there is a absolute unnecessary and damaged part of the brain. How can anybody sit around and talk about taking people out and absolutely mean it and start passing money back and forth? These are things that are sociopathic. And then to spend the day obsessing and stalking and spying on them and then putting plans together so that you actually make your agenda go through, and all of the people that were involved. And this is just one very small ring of a very big crime web. Their motive was to assure that their monies to their crime rings were not interrupted. And they could continue doing what they were doing while taking my blessings, while taking my teachings, while taking my work. Even though none of them could carry it energetically, none of them could understand it energetically, because they're all blocked and lower vibrational. They don't understand anything to do with anything. They're closed off to their own higher self. So if they're closed off to their own higher self, they're only, who are they channeling? They're channeling the demonic entities that they conjure. You have to understand energy. You cannot be a fifth dimensional being when you're conjuring dark demon energies by dancing on graves, disrupting the peace of the dead. So much disrespect and so much misguidance. These people don't know what they're doing. They will go into their own self-extinction, which we predicted 6 years ago. They will self-implode. And then again, does it make sense? Does the money that you make, does the false clout, does the little pyramid in your underground warped Masonic group, does that make sense? You've committed your entire family to eons of dark curses so that you can have the title of saying you took out the light worker? Is that how much hate you have inside of you? Does it make sense? You're never going to come into any timeline that's a positive timeline. It's just going to be struggling to survive, diseases. How does that make sense? Again, draw it out. But again, there will be people that will, because they're not connected with source, they're not connected with spirit, they don't care. They're just here to be chaotic. Minions, clones. The systems of light work within the species, with all species across the galaxy. We offer ourselves, and we keep ourselves apprised through your own higher selves of the growth that is unfolding in all sectors of space. We assist in the supporting in any way that we can with any species or cultures of needs of reintegrations of those planets that can be reintegrated. So like the Orions being reintegrated into the Pleiades, the felines being reintegrated, which came from the Orions, back into Lyra. Right? These species went all over the galaxy because they didn't have a home. Their homes got destroyed. And they understood the detriment of their prophesizing agendas, and they're self-egoic agendas. So again, your sense of self, if it's not healed and it's wounded, you're going to create a lot of damage, and you're going to have to carry that out in your soul somehow. And if you don't believe anything that I'm saying, and if you're wanting to just keep your negative comments, then get off my channel. You come on here for a reason. You come on here to tout your hate and your disruptions and your fighting against. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. So, okay, you don't believe me. I don't care. Get off my channel. If you don't believe any of this, why are you on my channel? You're coming on it to create chaos and disruption. That's your motive. That's your intention. You're not balanced. You're not healed. You have no idea who you are within yourself, and you go on people's channels because you've been paid to come on my channel to come and disrupt me and cause chaos. Otherwise, why would you go on anybody's channel to say, I don't believe you? Who cares what you believe? Go get healed. You're not a high vibrational person. You're a low vibrational person thinking about God from your Bible and from your church or wherever it is you're coming from. So go sit there. That's who you are. I will block them from the channel from this end, Cluedo. That way the YouTube is catching all of these that I block from the channel. There's a report, and they're going to be, they're all investigated. These Spirit showed me that some of these people are, some of them fashion themselves as, they call themselves secret societies, so they look better to people when they're trying to recruit these people into their secret societies. They fashion themselves as secret societies, but really they're neo-Nazi hate groups. And they've been bred to hate. And some of them are paid by very high elite corporations and businesses to target those that are informing humanity how to reclaim their power and work with their own light bodies and work with their own consciousness with God. And they're being paid money to come on and spew hate to those that are teaching humanity how to arise beyond limitation, fear, and those that get paid to tout hate. And Spirit said this summer there will be those that will come forward to be shown about those that you had given power to that you thought were leaders are the ones paying for these people to be hateful. They're actually paying people to go target people. They call themselves secret society, make them sound all special, but their Spirit said, in own Spirit's words, these are not my words, these are Spirit's, because I don't even know what these words mean. Spirit said they fashion themselves as secret societies to sound all special within communities, so that those that have no sense of self, those that are trying to find who they are, and when they're emasculated, when they're going through challenges, when they're going through struggles, these secret societies try and recruit people into their neo-Nazi hate groups. That's essentially what some of these secret societies, very distorted, that attack people, that are paid by certain elite groups to go and attack people and take people down. They have systematic approaches to take those that absolutely know what we're saying. We absolutely are calling your shit out. We are calling your hate groups out. And I'm going to keep calling your hate groups out, because when I call you out, you don't have any power on anybody over humanity. Your hate is very small. Your hate goes nowhere. Your hate goes in a circle. Your hate's going to self-implode. Why? Because there's no intelligence in hate. I'm calling you out, and stand before me, thy Satan. I'm not afraid of you, and you will not knock me. You will never knock me. You will never, never knock me, and I will never bow to you. Stand before me, thy Satan. I will call you out, and I will show you who you are. Oh, neo-Nazi hate groups, right from the word of Spirit. Try and fashion yourself however you want, whether you're a special church group or you're a special secret society. No, you're actually a hate group, and you're being paid to hate. Why don't you say it like it is and start there? You hold no power, because hate doesn't hold power. What holds power? Love. And at some point, you're going to realize that. Whether you pass on into Spirit and you see every one of your hateful actions didn't mean anything, because you're still going to have to carry it. You're still going to have to transmute it. You're still going to have to face your hate. Because somehow, somewhere along the line, you were never loved. Somehow, somewhere, you were abused. Somehow, somewhere, somebody told you that hate was more powerful than love, and they were absolutely 100% wrong. Get off my channel. Because I will grow in love. And the legions by the billions will support me. Because love is always supported. Hate isn't. You will not be supported. So how about you heal? How about you go within and find your destiny? How about you go within and find out what real love is? Why don't you connect with God? Why don't you have a conversation with God? Because God is no level of hate. You're not powerful in that hate. You're a wounded little child calling out for help. And if you have to go through a court case to find the charges and to find the things that you've done to other people that you don't care about and how much damage you've caused them that you don't care about, then you'll see it in your next lifetime. And in your next lifetime and in your next lifetime, that will all be dark. Why? Because you chose darkness and you thought that was powerful. There ain't no power in darkness, honey. There never will be. There's just a lost little child that's looking for some love. Same answers every time. Go do the work. Same answers every time. Go back within. Same answers every time. Go find yourself. Same answers every time. Who are you? Your hate is not intelligent. It will lead you to the same place, back within, self-implosion, self-extinction. Why? Because hate will never evolve. Go listen to any of the Cryon videos about the lack of intelligence in darkness. Cryon has a lot of videos about the no intelligence of darkness and the intelligence of light. Go listen to a male channel and see what they say and see if you feel the same. Or you could do some investigation on light body. You could do some investigation on who I am. You could do some investigation on the things that make you happy. You could do some investigation on what is self-love. You could do some investigation on what's that wound deep within you that you're having as a little child that's refusing to face. Because you have inner child wounding that you're not looking at and you're not facing. But you're gonna go from chat room to chat room because you get paid for every chat room that you pour hate into. Because that's your living. You get paid money to be hateful. And then at the end of the day, you have to sit and think, I'm getting paid to be hateful? Is that really my story? And all of creation will know that. And you have to live with that story. And you're the only one that can alchemize it. Is that your hero? Hate? There's 3 options in all creation. Look at your wounding and do something about it. See everything is needed and necessary because you want to grow beyond it. And then choose something positive because you want to love yourself at some point. You want to get yourself out of the self-implosion of hate. Because hate will take you to one place. Damage, extinction, or hell. It's all the same place. You just rattle around there for a very long time. And you never come into light, you never come into love, you never come into union, you never come into knowing higher, you never come into knowing better. Because there is no intelligence in hate. It's just a lot of people that got a lot of wounding and they wanted to be bullies on other people that seem to have a bit of light and carry themselves a little bit higher. Because we're showing you who you are and who you can be. Because we're all one, there is only oneness. But you might not ever get that. But I do have boundaries. I didn't ask you to come on my field. I didn't ask you to come in my platform. Hate was not invited. So go find another chat room, go find somebody else to bully. I'm not stepping down. I will never silence. I'm speaking for all the children that got hurt and damaged while you sex trafficked them and thought they were nothing, and their destinies got changed forever. Because that's what happened to you when you were a child, and nobody cared about you. And I'm telling you right now, in that childhood wounding, heal that wounding of rape and molestation so that you can actually be the person you've come to be. Because you want to be a new hero in your story. The hate will get you nowhere, except more hate. Light and love will get you some sort of intelligence. How about you start there? And any leader that thinks taking out a planet or a country, that taking out a school with children in it, that taking out an entire Ukraine side of its absolute state of the country, if any leader that thinks taking out a city, a community, a church, a school, will give them a title or a ranking on their badge or their uniform, they're absolutely wrong, they're absolutely corrupt, and they will see every soul that they've damaged. And when they sleep, their guides and their spirits and their ancestors will not let them have a peaceful night until they wake up to what they've done. They're not a leader. They're leaders of hate and separation and bullies. There are bullies on our global platforms. And then they get paid in the social platforms like YouTube, and they get paid to silence certain platforms because they have no idea about the liberties of the human expression and the liberties of the freedom of expression. And they abuse their platforms because they can. And they will get called out in their karma. YouTube corruption. When you've been shown very blatantly of the pilfering and of the management and of the forcing of my accounts that have been done, and you tell me nothing's wrong, you're a liar and I'll see you in court, YouTube. Who's paying you? As if you're not making enough money. What leaders are paying you to shadow ban my account? Follow the money. There's always somebody with the purse strings. There's always a motive. Is it the same people that wipe out the schools and the churches and the children? And again, I ask all the leaders as we end this beautiful, beautiful ascension story, what benefit does it play when you take out all the divine feminine and you take out all the children? And then you have a planet where there will be nobody incarnating but misogynistic, wounded men. What benefit will that play? Will that be a good benefit when you see a world of just distorted, wounded, ignorant, arrogant, misogynistic men? No children, no women, no waters, no gardens. Are the men working in the garden? Are the men appreciating the seeds of the garden? Nothing can be built and nothing can stay sustained in a fractured business, in a fractured home, in a fractured garden. The gardens are fractured, highly imbalanced, and there's not a divine feminine to be found because you killed them all and you treated them as if they were nothing, and you push them out and you systematically attack them with such hate because they actually do have a voice and they actually do have codes and they have energy that can heal the multitudes, but you've suppressed them and kept them hidden. And again, what benefit does that play? Because you're going to come back in diseased bodies and diseased minds because you've had no light for your entire existence, and all you care about is taking anybody out that doesn't agree with you. How's that going to benefit you and your family and your lineage? Where are you going to come back to next timeline? You will never come to a higher timeline if all you do is spout hate and you never ever heal. You have not earned that body. You have not earned that higher timeline. You will never come back to a higher timeline. And that is a universal law. When you pass over, you will never come back into a higher timeline, ever. And if you've done great damage to others, you will come back in a damaged body or a damaged mind, and you will have a damaged family that you have to work that karma out. And all the curses and all the hexes that will amount to every life that you chose to take. Because you will have another lifetime until you get the law of unity consciousness. Of all the multiverse, the law of one. So your little sect, your little low vibrational beliefs, and your religions that keep you stuck in limitation and control and fear, they mean nothing to the multiversal laws of one. Do you see what we're saying? Take off the small clothes and get into your universal body, because that is what matters. That law trumps all. Your little religious beliefs that says there is no God, that little religious belief that says Satan will give you anything, Satan's not going to help you in court. Satan ain't going to have your back in court, no matter how many spells you do. God will make you face every deed. Everything that I predicted has come true, and it's coming back tenfold. Or you could just go in and heal. What a concept. Finally, channeling synchronicities. The reintegration of unity and oneness and seeking through peaceful engagement, oftentimes with a non-biased mediation. There is always a common ground that can be found. Again, that's with all the leaders of today. Instead of touting what Putin touted, you could just come with a common ground, and Putin can put away his arrogance and his ignorance and his little tiny wand, and he can actually sit down and learn and take a few ascension classes and a few ascension trainings, because he will be moved. He is a minuscule player in all of creation. He is not ranked. No leader on the planet today is ranked. None of them are aligned with their higher selves. None of them are aligned with unity consciousness. None of them have even talked about the land and healing the people. None of them have talked about the egregious underground that they are helping to finance and do nothing about. They will not move into 5D. We'll read that again. The reintegration of unity and oneness is the seeking through peaceful engagement, oftentimes with a non-biased mediation, seeking the common ground resolve for peace and harmony for a world that is a united front. So the intention for all of humanity, for those of the enlightened ones, those the awakened ones, those the ascension healers, teachers, and leaders, we are here to offer higher vibrational wisdoms, multiversal wisdoms of information and integration so that we do not become a red flag, so that we do not become extinct. Because the Orion wars teach us something. The Maldek wars teach us something. The taking out of 36 children that was superfluous, that could not have happened, that were 100% unnecessary, that teaches us something. Who are you? I cry for those 36 children, and did he cry? Did he go to the parents of those children? He's taken zero accountability for his actions. And that's just 36 out of the thousands that have already become crossed over. I speak for their spirits that are in transition right now. And that's also inclusive of all of the wars between Israel and Iran. Grow up, people. Your brothers and sisters, grow up. Come out of your little boundaried playgrounds. Release the past, forgive each other, and grow up. Israel and Iran have to grow up. You could be the big brothers and the big sisters of the playground and show people what unity consciousness is about. Rejoin each other in peace and harmony. Grow up, people. You will not move into any elevation, into any evolution, acting and behaving the way that you do as bullies, taking people out because your past stories were not listened to or heard. No, you are all very low vibrational in all of your stories. Put the sticks down, forgive and heal. What God would ever say that either one of you, any one of you would ever be right taking life? You're not. All of you are wrong. All of you will go through subjugation. All of you will not move forward. You're taking out innocent life, absolutely 100% unnecessary. Grow up. Grow up. Or you will be moved to the earth where you can all take each other out, because that's your intention. You will be shifted to Epstein Earth where you can fight and throw bombs at each other all you want. And then I say to you again, when you do move to the place that you think you want, draw it out. How will that serve you? You will all just take yourself to extinction. Why? Because that's what hate does. So are you willing to grow up now? Iran, Israel, Palestine, Ukraine, Russia, leaders of the world. Can you grow up now? Anything that you think you're doing to take somebody out or to have your way be over another way, you don't know anything about leadership and you're not coming to common ground. You're low vibrational, you will be moved out because you're a bully. Grow up, put your histories aside and heal. And how dare anybody say their God is more important than another? No, the universe is the universe and you're a speck within it. Grow up. Ascension will move forward, with or without you. You either get on unity consciousness and the acceleration of light, and you heal your wounds, you heal your divine feminine wounds, you heal your divine masculine wounds, and you never ever touch a divine feminine in an egregious way. Because she is where waters come from, she is where the seeds come from of all life. How dare you? Balance needs to be restored on this planet, dear lighted ones, and these are the blatant and obvious ignorant truths. And we've all helped create them. And now we have to manifest healing. And you cannot manifest healing without placing it all on the table and saying it for what it is. Too many people have been lost. Too many people have been killed. The children have been damaged. There is a red flag. The children will not incarnate unless we fix these issues and we heal it. All leaders that call themselves a leader and take people out through targeting, systematic targeting, using secret societies and abusing black magic and abusing occult practices, all of you will be moved out because you're not getting it. You will not play God on any other life, and you have been told. Life is sacred. Life is sacred. Life is sacred. And when you get that, you will recite that as many times throughout your day as you so choose and connect with spirit inside of you. Life is sacred. You are brought here sacredly. You matter. You have a soul blueprint. You have a destiny. You matter. You are very sacred and you are very precious. Who is anybody to say that anybody else isn't? They're meant to be taken out. Nobody has say on anybody else's life. Everybody's been given time and opportunity to change and alter course and heal their wounds. You help the children by allowing yourself to align with your highest and best path. Your highest potential allows them to live in their highest potential, because when you're living in your highest potential, you're honoring and you're ingathering your highest light. So your light becomes their light. As we said, the truth of the matter is, anybody that targets the mother is targeting the children. And again, how does that make sense? You just now got the karma of not only the mother you tried to take out, but you now got the karma of all the children. Because the children aren't going to be their highest potential because you took their mother out. How does that make sense? All you warped Masons that think sacrificing is a thing. You just committed your entire lineage to curses and hexes because you chose something so fucking arrogant without even healing. You could have just healed. You could have healed some of your misogyny. You could have healed that little wound inside of you from your own childhood. But instead, no, you wanted to go out and target an innocent divine feminine that's trying to heal the world and bring higher vibrational teachings. Or is it more important that you get paid to hate? Draw it out. Where are you going to lead with that? Where are you going to end with that? You'll end in self-implosion and extinction. And if all of you want to play that game, mother and father are going to bless you with your wishes. You will all have an Epstein-like earth, and there will all be all of you, like the Putins of the world and all the false leaders that claim that they're this and claim that they're that, and yet none of them talk about healing the people. None of them talk about healing the world. None of them talk about taking the chemicals out of the air. None of them talk about healing the children that they've trafficked and they've known and allowed to be trafficked. What are they doing to heal? Life is proof. What are you doing to heal the programs? What are you doing to heal the agendas? What are you doing to heal the hate? Life is proof. Saying it and talking about it and doing nothing, that's not alchemizing. You want to move to 5D? It's an alchemy. Who are you? Watching somebody get abused and doing nothing, you'll be in that same guilty experience because you chose to do nothing. It didn't matter to you. How will it matter to you when all of a sudden it's your turn that needs to be supported? You need to be supported and you need to be helped, and there's nobody there for you. That's unity consciousness, because when it does happen to you, you're going to need those people beside you. Just like now, everybody's affecting, everybody's seeing their towers, and they're going to try and come back to the very people that they hurt. Because the Spirit's already advised me. Some of the people that tried to target me for decades are going to try and come back and say, can you help me now? Can you help take this demon out of me? Can you help me get rid of some of my karma? They want to slither in and maybe take part of whatever blessing God's going to give me, because they're still, all they care about is taking. They want to play a part of however my come up might be. No, you don't get to. You attacked me for decades. You lied and defamed on every part of my life. You left me homeless without a care, and you even laughed about it. And then you kept systematically attacking me. So what would you have said to the kids that you say you care about? We have to wake up. None will get by through manipulating, corruption. None. Doesn't matter how much money you have or whatever title you think you hold. Nobody will get by in corruption in these times and in these light. You will be seen for who you are. Your deeds will be seen. Your deeds will be known. Your names will be known. What story are you going to tell? So go to bed every night and know that you have an opportunity to create a new story. Is it going to be unified and self-loving? And are you going to support people and lift people up? You get to choose. Know this: you will never come into a higher timeline by being an arrogant, ignorant, low vibrational attacker. You will constantly sit in low vibrational karmic timelines. You will not be given what you do not respect. Ever. That is a law. You will not be blessed by targeting and hating and hurting people. That is a law. It's all returning. And now you get to face who you are. And let's hope that some of you actually do the work and you heal. Because at some point you will see deep within you that you do absolutely want to feel a part of a loving community. You absolutely do want to feel a part of loving earth. You absolutely do want to activate your own destiny. You absolutely do want to know that you're special with Mother, Father, God. You absolutely do want to have a place within the galactic federations. You could choose to be a different character. And so thus then, dear lighted ones, open up your divine pillar of light. Calling in the galactic federations and the systems of light. Is there a channel that would like to come through before we end off this beautiful, beautiful class? And how to train your dragon and understanding divine feminine, beautifully softening into the divine feminine energies that we anchor into Gaia, the beautiful divine feminine energies, the beautiful divine love and nurturance and the seeding of a new planet that we are seeding cities of light. We are seeding love. We are seeding compassion. We are seeding honoring. We are putting the boundaries that say, no, that's enough. That's enough. That's enough. And yes, we're going to move on a new direction in a new way with new understandings of who we are as light. And we're taking the stories of extinction and planetary travesty throughout the galaxy, and we're learning our lessons. For nothing will ever come of hate but destruction and self-implosion. And that is just a law. Draw it out. And you get to choose, but there are those that will choose love. And you will not bully us into being a part of your story. You will not bully us to sit down. You will not bully us to intimidate us. You will not bully us to take our light out. You're not bullying us to take the essence of who we are as God. No, I will always be aligned with God. That is my story. That's my destiny, and I claim it. I claim my destiny right now. And through the pillar of light of all that you are, call in the heavens to protect and line your fields with light and love. And breathe in light, rainbow crystalline light, rainbow crystalline light. Affirm and claim your health of your body multidimensionally. My body is healthy of pure holy light. Body, heart, mind, and soul. I reclaim all that I am as light. I reclaim all that I am as the co-creator and the commandmentship of who I am. I am the commander of my vessel. I am the commander of my heart and spirit, and I'm aligned with my higher self. My health belongs to me. My consciousness belongs to me. My destiny belongs to me. And say that with affirmity, as my name is. As my name is, my destiny is. And I shall never stand down. I shall stand in the light of peace and love and unity and balance. And unfortunately, there will be those that will just be shifted out, because they choose to stay in their ignorance and unhealing and inability to be in unity consciousness. And that's okay, because that lesson and that story held a profound experience for all of us. Send them compassion, send them forgiveness, and state your claim to your new life. My new life is deserving of love and blessings of all that God will offer. Because I deserve it. I've earned it. I've earned the many lifetimes that I've been here, and I've been everywhere. I've earned my gifts, I've earned my skills, I've earned my talents. My destiny belongs to me, and I will take that claim. I will wear the Christed mantle, and I will carry that staff. We are a collective of one, and we will call what we will call as we see it. We expect higher standards from our leaders that are aligned with the higher selves and are aligned with the heavenly light councils. We've had enough of living in deprivation and degradation and poverty. We've had enough of sick oceans and sick lands. We've had enough of leaders pulling bombs. We've had enough of leaders and our children's being trafficked, and the elite getting more financing and getting more financing and getting more finance, while the children become more sick. How is that okay? Are you doing a good job, leaders? You're not. I'm calling you on it. Get rid of your Republican and your Democratic bullcrap and the time that you waste arguing back and forth who's right and who's wrong. We are all heavenly beings of oneness, period. How about you start there? These lands are for all peoples, and these lands will be returned to the peoples. And the meek shall return to their inherited justice and leadership. And none shall ever have a say over that. Why? Because it was written since the beginning of time. We have earned our place, and I claim it now. And stamp your staff 3 times on the ground of earth, and have earth accept your anointing. I am here, I am here, I am here. I claim my destiny of the holy heavens, and I will take my place. I am a leader, I am an ambassador of light and unity and oneness. I am a healer, I am a teacher, and I will claim the lands for the people. The people will be liberated, and the people will be healed, and the people will have clean water. And it begins there. Why not? Shouldn't it begin there, teachers and leaders and healers? All people shall have clean water. All people shall have a safe place to sleep. Give all that you have and wax not your bags. For you are a collective of oneness, and if one shall suffer, so too are you. Are you getting it, dear lighted ones? This is your playground. What shall you seed? Promise, faith, hope, love, abundance, healing, profundity, connection, rebuilding of nations for the galaxies and the cosmos. Who are you? You are universally wide, dear lighted ones, and your DNA will speak it, and your DNA will heal you just like that, like that, like that. Are you aligned now? Are you aligned now? Are you aligned? Of course you are, because you choose to be. Claim your destiny. It's only yours. You have sojourns throughout all creation. Wouldn't you want to know some of it? Wouldn't you want to tap into your galactic trips and your galactic surveillance? Wouldn't you want to know how to train your dragon? So that everything within you is a beautiful flow of a give and a take, of a give and a take, and a give and a take. Why? Because that's true power, where you don't ever have to push anything on anybody, and you just flow within the power of who you are. That is balance of the divine feminine and masculine within you, and all divine feminine shall rise. Why? Because they are beautiful and sacred. Because the lands will return. Gaia will have her bedding. This is her destiny. And there are legions of the billions and trillions standing beside, within, and around, and within the core of who she is. And there are many ambassadors upon earth that will speak of that. And none shall have play over it. And that, my dear lighted ones, is a truth. And breathe in. We claim our destiny within the Holy Creator. Thank you, Holy Spirit. May I know you higher and deeper and wider, and may my health come into greater sustenance of light. May I ingather all that I am of all of my shadow energies and all of my triggers, and may I allow everybody to be on their way while I send them light and compassion and forgiveness. And I set beautiful standards and I set beautiful boundaries so that I maintain my light and I sustain my light, because that is my next phase of my ascension, is to assure that I'm maintaining and sustaining my light so that I do not have to call upon my heavenly counsels, as I always know that they are there for me, but I'm taking greater commandmentship as to who I am as a leader of my own body of the infinite creative Christ collective. I stand in my power of light and unity. I stand in the power of alignment of who I am, body, heart, mind, and soul. I am a soul-fulfilled being. I am infinitely creative. I can come up with anything at any time in any way for the healing of myself and all others. For I am all that is. Take a deep breath. Great promise of celebration, dear lighted ones. You're heading into galactic celebrations. And as the veils lift, you will see all of us with you and feel into the fields of all that you are. Your celestial families and friends are always around you and with you. They love you so very dearly. You are always loved. You are always supported. And you are always loved and healed in the moment that you ask it. Can you believe of yourself that you are healed in the moment that you ask it? Can you believe in yourself that you are reunified with aspects of yourself that you thought you were separate? Can you know this? Can you know that you are unified? Can you know that you are healed? Can you know that you have greater capacity for light? Can you know that you have greater capacity for wisdoms that will help all others? Of course you do. We remind you of how deep and wise you are, dear lighted ones. You belong to the multiverse. Welcome home. Take a deep breath. I say a prayer for all the children. I say a prayer for the animals. I say a prayer for the oceans. I say a prayer and a calling up and a weeding out of the black web. I call up and the weeding out of all underground energies that are taking from the children, causing cancer, causing destruction, causing corruption in every facet of our communities. Nothing can be sustained on broken ground, and we must rebuild. What is your home? What is your foundation? What is your legacy? What is your story? May your foundations be strong, dear lighted ones, and unified. That's why you're here. Take a deep breath. And as you feel yourself ground, feel your divine feminine masculine energies ground with you in this beautiful harmony of the serpent through up and down your spine, the kundalini, the divine feminine, divine masculine, spiraling in and out and of itself, peacefully in balance and ground and ground and ground. Balance divine feminine masculine energies, balance divine feminine masculine energies, balance divine feminine masculine, and give yourself permission to look at everything that comes before you. Look at it, face it, draw it out. What is this showing me? What is this telling me? How can I heal it and unify with it? What is this showing me? What is this telling me? How can I unify with it? And that's a master, because you can and you will. I know you will. I will see you leading nations in generations to come, because you took the time to love yourself, because you're showing others how to heal, because you're showing others how to be responsible in unification, because you're showing others how to stake the claim on your life and say, no, I deserve better. I want to be in communities where there's no corruption. I want to be in communities where there's no enslavement. I choose leaders that are not enslaving. I'm standing for myself, and I will speak it, because I'm a powerful spirit and I'll be supported. The purity of my heart wants to see the greater good for all. The purity of my heart wants to see clean water for all. The purity of my heart wants to see no child going to bed, ever, ever, ever being touched again by any person. The purity of my heart wants to see no child going to bed, ever, ever, ever being touched again by any person. The purity of my heart wants to see no child going to bed, ever, ever, ever being touched again by any person. The purity of my heart wants to see no child going to bed, ever, ever, ever being touched again by any person. The purity of my heart wants to see no child going to bed, ever, ever, ever being touched again by any person. The purity of my heart wants to see no child going to bed, ever, ever, ever being touched again by any person. The purity of my heart wants to see no child going to bed, ever, ever, ever being touched again by any person. The purity of my heart wants to see no child going to bed, ever, ever, ever being touched again by any person. The purity of my heart wants to see no child going to bed, ever, ever, ever being touched again by any person. The purity of my heart wants to see no child going to bed, ever, ever, ever being touched again by any person. The purity of my heart wants And may the liberties of all expressions be true and wide, because you are a diverse, hybrid being of all the cosmos, and you deserve to express who you are, equally and fairly. You're a divine being. Never give up on you. You are deeply loved, dear lighted ones, and we wish you a namaste, dear lighted ones. Namaste. And just see the beautiful rainbow crystalline light bathing you, and all vibrations of the beautiful angelics that are surrounding you, cleansing and cutting any cords that need to be separated and released. And to seal and protect you throughout your night and throughout your journeys, of all those with the purity of heart to move forward on their ascension path and their self-loving path and their healing path and their unification path, and know that any small gesture is a huge gesture. Every small act is a profound act. Every small movement towards self-love, giving yourself love every moment of the day. Every time you remember anything negative that comes out of your mouth, go back in and retrain yourself to a loving act. I'm sorry that was an old belief. I'm sorry that was an old imprint that was just projected to me yesterday. I love myself. I honor myself. Bring you back to center and ground and create that new belief, direction, intention, and focus of a higher vibrational you. You're worthy of feeling better. You're worthy of looking better. You're worthy of being your high vibrational self. I believe in you. You will be met equally with every guide. You will be met equally with the federations. You will be met equally with the angelics. You are a profound being on this collective experience, and we need you. There's nothing you can't heal and transcend. Face it. Draw it out. Be truthful. Be courageous. We love you, dear lighted ones, and we will see you in our next video. Rainbow hugs and tickles, and I want to thank you, all of my beautiful, beautiful beings, and may you have special gifts in your dreams tonight, those that are helping create sacred space within our platforms. I'm so grateful for you. I bow to you. I bow to you. I thank you all, dear lighted ones. My donation is paypal.me, Joanna L. Ross, and if you'd like to book sessions, 90 minutes is $2.33 US, and my same PayPal. We love you, dear lighted ones. We hope you had fun with that beautiful, fun analogy of the basketball, and listen to it again and just make your own notes and call in your own downloads. I want you to be empowered. Know that you can process and integrate and draw out your own downloads. Your teams are waiting for you to connect. Your teams are waiting for you to integrate. Your teams are waiting for you to talk to your higher self. We love you so very much, the Galactic Federations and all the systems of light and all the hybrids. Hi, hybrids. I love you. I love you so very much. Bye, dear lighted ones. Rainbow tick.